Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. Lockdown! This is the Rob Brown Show. Yeah, Rob. Only on the Fan Upstate.
You know, if there's anything better than live sports being on the old television, sports that count, sports that matter, and you get not only to watch them, but you get paid to watch. Part of your job. I am obligated to do it. If there's anything better on planet Earth, I don't know what it is. The love of your children, less good than baseball being back on TV, okay? Like, the list is basically like a basket full of puppies, a check for $1 million, baseball on TV. That's pretty much the list, friends. Good morning, upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. What's up, world? Great to be back with you again on the Rob Brown radio program and the Fan Upstate. I hope that you are exceptionally well. I hope that you are living your best life. I hope that you are just having a week. And even if you're not, friends, even if this week got off to a crap start, the boss is all over your ass. You got home problems. You need the oil change. You don't know where you're going to get the time. The car's breaking down. Your dog pooped on the front, on the front porch. Whatever might be wrong in your life, I'm going to fix it for you right now. I want you to get up out of bed. Get up. I know it's early. I know many of you set that 6 a.m. alarm to on it just to earnestly listen to the show getting out of bed. I know that some of you set the alarm so that when it goes off, the first thing you hear is my angelic voice waking you from your slumber. And I know that some of you like to just kind of take it easy in the mornings, stay in bed, have maybe hit the snooze button 9, 10, 11, 42 times, whatever it is that is your process. Forget all of that today, just today, okay? I want you to rise right now. I want you to get up. I want you to get comfy. I want you to head on over to the couch. I want you to walk over and grab the remote and then sit down and reach over. Grab the good blanket. All right. We all got I got the good blanket. We got a big fluffy blanket at the Casa de Love. Grab the good blanket. And then I want you to reach over and I want you to pull out that recliner and just lean back, cover yourself up with the good blanket. Take the remote, turn on your television right now, because we are moments away from first pitch of the 2024 Major League Baseball Stadium. Now, season, not stadium, because we're not in an MLB stadium today. Granted, we are still 8 days away from official opening day. Next Thursday is opening day for all of Major League Baseball. Next Thursday, a week and a day from today, all 30 teams will be in action starting at like 10 o'clock in the morning next Thursday. We have baseball from 10 o'clock in the morning until all of us are just staring at the screens with blurry eyes and full hearts. But there is a game today. There is a game today that counts. There is a game today between a couple of divisional rivals that goes on the record books live from Seoul, South Korea. It's the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's the San Diego Padres. It's an NL West matchup between, on paper, one of the greatest baseball rosters ever assembled, led by Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, and Shohei Ohtani, squaring off against Fernando Tatis and the Padres. My heart is full, kids. My heart is full. My soul is just bouncing with happiness right now because in just moments from now, first pitch from Seoul, South Korea of the 2024 Major League Baseball season. Brandon, happy baseball season, buddy.
Let's go. I'm ready. Hey, I'm ready for my Braves to win the World Series and take down that $1.5 billion Dodger team.
You know, we're going to talk a little bit about that later on in the radio broadcast. We're going to do a little NL East division preview, prediction, prognostication. We're going to do that across a number of Major League Baseball divisions today because, hey, why the hell not? I mean, you got to put your predictions, your picks, your projections, your prognostications on the table before you get the season started, right? Nobody's going to take you seriously if you do it after this game's on the record book. So we will go on the record later on in today's radio broadcast. But that's not all we got to get to today. Today, we have got to get to some legal drama. Because yesterday, as I told you, it was an inevitable reality. There was no way anything else was going to happen. The Clemson Tigers, Los Tigres, have decided to file their own lawsuit against the Atlantic Coast Conference. The ACC is not super stoked about it, bro. Like, they're not real happy about it. And, of course, you know, why the hell would they be? Their biggest flagship member institution just opened up a legal challenge against them. Of course, they're not going to be thrilled about it. But Clemson has been, up until this point, willing to hang around in the background. Clemson has been, to this point, willing to hang around and allow Florida State to take the heat. I've talked about this in the past. If you're Clemson, it made perfect sense to hang around in the background. If you're Clemson, it made perfect sense to allow Florida State to advance the legal challenges. And it made perfect sense for two reasons. Number one, Florida State had brought the biggest objections to the table. The number of parties forwarding an objection is irrelevant to the quality of the objection. Florida State forwarded the probably best objections that you were going to find. The second reason that it made sense for Clemson to hang around in the background is in case there were repercussions. If Florida State went into a courtroom and Florida State got it handed to them by a legal filing, a court comes back and says, nah, sorry, Knowles, good job, good effort, but that's not going to get it done. And then the ACC down the line decided to treat Florida State as a bunch of ungrateful little sons of, as some parties might. Then by not attaching yourself to that lawsuit, you avoid the potential repercussions, spoken or unspoken, that might come from the conference back to the teams that filed against them. So it made sense for Clemson to hang out in the background, to allow Florida State to take all the heat and to take any possible repercussions from the conference. Clemson decided yesterday to end that. Clemson decided yesterday to go ahead and allow their army of lawyers to get themselves involved in this scenario, which tells me that there is one of a few possibilities right now. Number one, Clemson feels like they have found something new. They have found some new further issue with the grant of rights and with the exit fee, which are the two things that they mentioned specifically in their lawsuit against the ACC. Or, number two, they feel like Florida State has created enough of a legal opening that they can get in there and try to help pull it apart. Clemson may be taking one of those two angles. I'm not sure. We asked John Blau with the Post and Courier about it a few days ago. John said it's absolutely not new that Clemson is looking at this, that Clemson is involved, that Clemson is trying to figure out what their role is in the lawsuit. That's not new. He said what would be new is if Clemson got involved, if Clemson pulled the trigger. My expectation was that they were going to, and they were going to soon, predominantly because I think, based on some folks I talked to, Florida State has created enough of a conversation around the ACC. And then you will remember, we brought this up on the air a number of weeks ago, when the grant of rights was put into place. The previous commissioner of the Atlantic Coast Conference had a son who was working at a television network, a small television network, a respectfully almost irrelevant television network, or at least it should have been. And wouldn't you know it, all of a sudden, that television network got a pretty big cut of the ACC's media rights through the grant of rights agreement. And then when you know it, that son suddenly finds himself in a vice presidential position, in an upper management position at said TV network. And I called the shot at the time. At the time when that story came out, I said, whoa, this feels big. This feels mucho importante. It feels like a big deal that the kid of the commissioner working at a small-time TV network that got a pretty solid, sizable chunk of the GOR and then was immediately promoted to upper management. Yeah, it's a little coincidental at the very least, right? It feels like it's kind of maybe a little bit quid pro quo. And so because it felt a little quid pro quo at the time, I said I would not be shocked if this acts as is outright a trigger for Florida State's lawsuit to gain some momentum. And then days after that, the ACC files a lawsuit, a counter lawsuit in North Carolina, come on and raise up, that says, hey, we don't think that hearing should take place down in the Sunshine State of Florida. Why wouldn't they? Again, talked about this on the show at length in the past. Florida State likely feels as if they would get some preferential treatment down there in their home state. Part of this, a large chunk of this, as I mentioned, started getting kicked into motion after a 13-0 Atlantic Coast Conference champion Florida State was left out of the college football playoffs in favor of not one but two one-loss teams. One in the SEC, one joining the SEC this year. And so if you can file that lawsuit in the FLA, obviously they feel that. They understand that. And on top of that, maybe you roll the dice, you get lucky, you get somebody on the bench who has some, let's say, mild pro-Seminole tendencies down there, and maybe you get some sympathy points. So the ACC said, whoa. Sorry, let me say. The ACC said, I forget I have sound bites sometimes. The ACC said, wait up, hold on. We need to do this in North Carolina because we, the entity that is in distress from this lawsuit, are in North Carolina. And the contract, the grant of rights agreement that is at the core of this debate, signed in North Carolina. So it's a North Carolina issue. Y'all need to come on up here. Now, we don't know what's going to come out with that. We don't know if that is going to force the lawsuit to take place in North Carolina. We don't know if that will be overlooked and the lawsuit will be sustained in Tallahassee, Florida, in the surrounding metro Tallahassee area. We don't know. But what we do know is with that information about the previous commissioner and his kid and the TV network and the upper management position being placed on the table, with Florida State getting left out of the 14 playoff, whether you feel it was justified or not, the optics are enough to make an argument that staying in the ACC, while the ACC is failing to keep that conference competitive with the Big Ten in the Southeastern Conference, is detrimental, is harmful to the schools within the conference. And the lawsuit that Clemson filed yesterday says exactly that. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to run to a break. When we come back from this break, we're going to take a gander at said lawsuit. We're going to take a look-see at some of the language that Clemson placed into the lawsuit they have filed against the ACC. And we're going to break it down, top to bottom, left to right, backwards and forwards. We are going to play a little CSI Upstate. We'll do that when we come back. My man Brandon filling in for the great Malonzo on a well-deserved vacation today. My name is Rob Brown. I am thrilled to have you along with us on what I think is going to turn out to be a very dramatic Wednesday edition of the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate, y'all. Bang, we're off and running. That's how you open a show, dudes.
I'm going to go to the bathroom right quick.
Yeah, man, go ahead. You're good. All right, guys, I'm going to step away for less than 1 minute. Y'all stay right there. I'll be right back.
They're at 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772 in Greenville and Asheville. 864-448-3772.
Mark Ryan tells it like it is.
What frustrates you more? The fact that Juice Wells was allowed back into the building to take advantage of services paid for by donors and fans?
All right, dudes, we're back. Thank y'all for hanging out.
Defending it, saying things like, well, it's just a haircut. What's the big deal?
I would say the bigger problem is Juice Wells being allowed in the building in the first place. Fans are going to fan, right? For some people, that it's got a block D on it, or it's got a tiger paw on it, or it's got a gator on it. They'll defend it until the ends of the earth. I'm not going to blame fans for being fanatical, but it just should never happen. I mean, you just can't allow that. You know, Juice Wells just going on his pettiness tour, and the bigger error, though, was them allowing him in the building in the first place, and allowing a guy like Juice Wells to control your entire fan base while in the facility. Just a crazy, crazy look.
Mike, what's up, brother? Welcome in. Good morning, big dog. Spectacular to have you, amigo.
Mark Lynch, the president of Jeff Lynch Appliance Center.
Shohei Ohtani versus Yu Darvish. What a contest. Tyler Glass now on the bump for the Dodgers. Dodgers got a couple on, grounded into a double play. Inning ended. Padres at the dish. I would love to see the Padres win this game. Just put the Dodgers off on the wrong foot. Please and thank you.
This tax season, you get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a new Samsung Galaxy A15 for just $99. So you can give your janky phone to your kid.
Good talk. Switch to Straight Talk for plans starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. In-store activation on single Silver Unlimited plan or higher required. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
Get the one and done you want for your dog's monthly protection. NexGuard Plus, a Foxalarm, Moxidectin, and Pyrantel chewable tablets. Protects against fleas, ticks, heartworm disease, roundworms, and hookworms. All in one delicious beef-flavored soft chew. Used with caution in dogs with a history of seizures or neurologic disorders. Dogs should be tested for existing heartworm infection prior to starting a preventive. Ask your vet about NexGuard Plus Chews.
15 seconds.
Sponsored by Jeff Martin.
All right, let's jump into some legal stuff.
Martin Auctioneers presents the East Coast Construction and Transportation Public Auction in Pelzer on Thursday, March 28th. Bid your way live on site or online. JeffMartinAuctioneers.com. Experience the difference. License 4283.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know we made a great joke a very long time ago during all that was going on with the Jim Harbaugh stuff, where we talked about CSI Ann Arbor. And now we get to play CSI Clemson. I got to get a better sound effect. That's a bad sound effect, man. That's a real bad one. How about it's about as good as it's going to get. Anyway, the point here is CSI Clemson. Clemson files a lawsuit yesterday against the Atlantic Coast Conference. Now, in case you didn't get a chance to read through the reports, it's obviously complicated as hell. It's a lawsuit, and I don't speak lawyer, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I did, and I have a bed and a home like a normal person. In Pickens County, South Carolina, where this lawsuit was filed, Clemson has, via lawsuit, effectively called into question the ACC's grant of rights agreement, its legitimacy, and the exit fee, calling the withdrawal penalty, quote, unconscionable, end quote, and unenforceable, quote, end quote. Clemson in the suit asked for a declaration that the ACC would not own the rights to Clemson's games, quote, after Clemson ceases to be a member of the ACC. That sentence sets off, to me, a big red alarm buzzer bell light thing. The sentence says, quote, after Clemson ceases to be a member of the ACC. Now, I'm a big dumb boy, all right? I'm an idiot. I've acknowledged that many times. I don't think there's anything wrong with acknowledging when you're an idiot. Being an idiot gives you room to grow. I'm an idiot, but I will ask you, dear listener, if you had the same thought that I had. Does the sentence, quote, after Clemson ceases to be a member of the ACC, end quote, does it send you down any particular path? Do you have any particular thought or realization or revelation based on hearing or reading that sentence? Because I did. After Clemson ceases to be a member of the ACC, that is not my dudes and my dudettes. That is not if Clemson ceases to be a member of the ACC. That is when Clemson ceases to be a member of the ACC. They just, not that this is a big secret, not that this is taking anybody by surprise, but Clemson just outright admitted, we gone, dog. We out. We bouncing the minute the door opens, the minute we figure out how We are Irish goodbying this whole ass party. My favorite way to say goodbye, by the way. The old Irish, you know what Irish goodbye is? Irish goodbye is when you just leave. You don't say bye, you just leave. You're at a party, everybody's drinking, dancing, having a good time, and you think to yourself, I've had enough. I'm ready to go home. And you have two options. You can walk around and say goodbye to everybody. And if you're like me, you got friends who like to chat it up. And then, you go and you're like, hey, I'm getting out of here, man. I gotta be up early in the morning. That alarm goes off at 3:30 a.m. I got to bounce. And then your buddy says, yeah, for sure, man. Hey, real quick, how do you feel about golf this weekend? Thinking about taking the lady friend out for some Italian on Thursday. What's your favorite Italian? And the next thing you know, it's an hour and a half later. You've been saying goodbye for an hour and a half. Or you Irish goodbye, which is you just leave. You just get in the car and drive away. And the next morning, somebody texts you and goes, hey, man, you good? I didn't hear you leave. And you go, yeah. Sorry, something came up. Had to take off. The Irish goodbye. The Irish goodbye. It's the best kind of goodbye. There's no obligations with an Irish goodbye. And Clemson just straight up said, we are Irish goodbying the second we get up out of here. And before you try to cancel me, I am Irish, so I'm allowed to say it. So Clemson said that the grant of rights, which, if you will recall, does create a scenario where the ACC would maintain the broadcast rights to ACC schools even after they depart the conference. Clemson's going, that's outlandish. It's kind of ridiculous. If you think about it, it's kind of not good at all. And obviously they've got stuff in there about the negotiation numbers and the fact that the exit fee, which is right now today for each individual school that might wish to pay it to leave, the exit fee is roughly 3 times the entire conference's annual operating budget. 3 times what the ACC pays to exist every given year. Now, the estimated ACC operating budget's about $140 million a year. The exit fee claimed by Florida State in their lawsuit is $572 million. And Clemson's going, no. That number's ridiculous. Absolutely not. In a statement issued later in the day, ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips and Board of Directors Chair Jim Ryan maintain their beliefs that the courts will uphold the agreement between the conference and its members. The statement said in part, quote, Clemson, along with all ACC members, voluntarily signed and re-signed the 2013 and 2016 Grant of Rights, which is binding through 2036. In addition, Clemson agreed to the process and procedures for withdrawal. The conference's legal counsel will vigorously enforce the agreement and bylaws in the best interest of the ACC's current and incoming members. Now, I will acknowledge that I am a bit impartial here. I shouldn't say impartial. I am very partial. I am partial here because I recognize the writing on the wall. And I know most of you do as well. I don't think I'm about to say anything that's going to be mind-blowing to any of you. But moving forward, starting probably this year, but really and specifically in 2025, 2026, once the playoffs expand, and they're gonna. Playing football outside of the Big Ten and the Southeastern Conference will not make it impossible to compete on a national scale. But it's going to make it real damn hard. Like real hard. It is going to be wildly difficult to compete legitimately on a national level if you are not getting the payout that schools in the SEC and the Big Ten are going to get. And Clemson brings that up in this lawsuit. They basically say, hey, look, it is untenable for us to compete nationally while we're watching the SEC and the Big Ten, make as much money as we can't compete with that. And we talked about those numbers the other day. The schools in the SEC and the Big Ten are going to be getting, I don't know what the exact term is, but the scientific term is a load more money. And I can say unequivocally, because I've been in this business a long time. And, we here at the Fan Upstate, we strive to bring you every single day quality broadcasting from 6 a.m. until 7 p.m. We strive to give you a product that at any given day part throughout the day, you can click on the radio, you can go to the website, thefanupstate.com, and you can just swim in the pool of sports talk excellence that is the Fan Upstate. However, we also acknowledge, and I don't think I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but even if I do, it's still correct. Brandon, our jobs would be a little easier if we had Pat McAfee's budget, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I thought so.
What, 280 million, right?
Yeah. I think, and I could be wrong, I think we're in a great spot here. This is not me complaining. Everything I've ever needed, I call Chris Evans, Captain America, down the hall, and I say, Chris, I need X, and he provides. I got bosses down the hall that I say, hey, I want to do this thing. And they go, great, do that thing. What do you need to do it? The resources are phenomenal, which is why the Fan Upstate is also phenomenal. But at the same time, if we had Pat McAfee's budget, we'd have an entirely different product. And that's what Clemson is arguing here in this lawsuit that they have filed. They are basically saying, look, we can't compete. It's untenable. And in the way that you formed this grant of rights, in the way that you put this grant of rights together, in the way that you negotiated or perhaps failed to negotiate in the best interest of the Atlantic Coast Conference and its member institutions. You screwed us, dude. We cannot compete consistently nationally with the money that is, or maybe more aptly, is not on the table. And it's pretty damn compelling. I don't care who you are. I have said many times, and I'll say again, money cannot buy you happiness, but it can buy you a lot of things that'll make you happy. I believe it was a number of years ago, Daniel Tosh, one of my favorite comedians, who said, have you ever seen anybody frowning on a jet ski? No, but they're expensive. So Clemson saying, hey, look, you didn't, and it's the same thing Florida State said, you didn't negotiate in a way that we could stay competitive with the SEC. You didn't negotiate in a way that we could stay competitive with the B1G. Now, the argument can be made. The reason those two conferences are head and shoulders above everybody else is because they're just better football top to bottom. And that would be an argument that stands, I think. At the end of the day, it is, for us, the fans, a free market. You watch the teams and watch the conferences you want to watch, and the television numbers right now say people prefer to watch the SEC and the Big Ten. That's not, by default, the argument that Florida State has made or Clemson is making. What they are saying is, yeah, but it would have been easier for us to put together a conference that looks like that if we had resources like those conferences have. And because of the fact that you are out here handing TV contracts to small nobody networks that when we play our football on them, it's a damn joke. I don't mean to be disrespectful to this outlet, but When I see on Saturday that Alabama's playing Ole Miss on one ESPN channel and Michigan State's playing Minnesota on Fox Sports 1, and Clemson is playing NC State on the CW. Again, all due respect to the CW, you do see how people look at that and get a chuckle, right? And so Clemson is sitting here making the argument, you negotiated poorly. You created this situation for us where we can't compete. We don't have the finances to compete. And then when we do want to do something about it, you've locked us into 2036. You're asking us to pay 3 times plus your annual operating budget to leave. And if we do it, you're telling us you are going to maintain the rights to some of our broadcasts. Yes, we signed the agreement, but looking back at it now, it was a bad faith agreement. You screwed us. In Florida, when you go buy a new car, I don't know if it's true in South Carolina, so I'm using my home state as an example. In Florida, when you go buy a new car, there are what are called lemon laws. If I go to a dealership and I buy a car, in good faith, I am working under the assumption that the car you are selling me is a working, operable car, and that you have disclosed any issues the car might have that I might have to deal with. That's not to say you can't sell a used car that needs some work in Florida. It's saying that when I go sign the contract with you, you have to, in good faith, include all the issues that that car has so that I know exactly what I'm driving off the lot. And if I drive off the lot with that car and I get home and the next day I wake up and I hear, go home, go. And then I find out that this car's got a transmission that was shot and you knew it. Or that this car had been in an accident in the past that you did not disclose, or whatever else. I have the right to challenge the purchase of that vehicle in court, and a court will look and go, this contract, while perfectly legally valid, this contract was not signed in good faith. And because it was not signed in good faith, we're overturning it. You take the car back, give them the money back, and now you start over negotiating with all the info on the table. Or bleep you and walk away. Clemson is basically arguing that, and this is a very, very simple way of putting it from a very simple person, but the way that I understand it, Clemson is effectively arguing that when the ACC provided the schools with the GOR, that they knew it was not the best negotiated deal they could have gotten, that they knew it was going to create a situation where schools within the ACC were not going to be able to compete. And Clemson's basically saying, yo, lemon law, dog. This contract sucks. You knew it sucked. I did not know it sucked because we didn't get all the information disclosed. And we want out now. And because of the fact that Florida State is now down in Florida making the argument, hey, look, we did everything right in football. We went 13-0. We were one of 3 schools across the Power 5 conferences that went 13-0, and we got left out. And whether it's true or not, Florida State is going to push the narrative that they got left out. Why? Because they're in the ACC. And the playoff committee wanted somebody from the SEC. And the playoff committee wanted a school that is going to the SEC. So their argument is, if we were an SEC school, we'd have been in the playoffs this year. And again, I know a lot of you guys have pushed back. I wholeheartely, fully, thoroughly, entirely, absolutely believe that conspiracy theory. Fully. I will acknowledge fully, I am bought into the conspiracy theory that at some point somebody gave the old wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We can't have a playoff without an SEC team in it. We can't have a playoff that doesn't include one of the Power 2. Who do we move out to make room for it? There ain't but one option. And Florida State's going to go in front of a judge, and they're going to say, hey, yo, the only reason we didn't get in is because we're in the ACC. Being in the ACC screws us, and now we have the budget numbers to back that up. And I think Clemson has now looked and said, yeah, we agree. We agree. That's what this lawsuit says. Yeah, we agree. So now the ACC's got 2 lawsuits, one coming out of Tallahassee, one coming out of Pickens County, South Carolina. They got to deal with both. Now, I would not be shocked to find out in the next day or two that the ACC has filed a countersuit in which they are trying to get the lawsuit that Clemson has filed also heard in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina, which basically would give them home court advantage in the legal system. And yes, that is a thing, absolutely.
There was a Twitter report yesterday that is expected that Boston College, Virginia, and I believe Virginia Tech are also going to follow in the shoes of both Florida State and Clemson and file a lawsuit to get out of the ACC. So the dominoes are starting to fall.
Oh, for sure. There's more coming. Now, the only schools I think would definitively follow this, that I would say I'm comfortable saying will definitively follow this: Miami, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, Duke. And that's probably it. Because here's the thing. The only reason that you are filing this lawsuit is if you believe there's a spot waiting for you in the Big Ten or the SEC. For Florida State, there definitely is. For Clemson, there definitely is. For Miami, there definitely is. For North Carolina, there definitely is. For Virginia Tech, there probably is, but you roll the dice. For Duke, there probably is. Their brand is valuable, especially, I mean, look, the SEC just got, 7 teams into the tournament? That's a basketball conference now. There's room for Duke in that conference at this point. So those schools will. I cannot see a reason that Boston College would sign on. I cannot see a reason that Syracuse would sign on. NC State probably. Like, if legally North Carolina is obligated to take them with them as a partner institution, maybe. But I can't see why any of those other schools would sign on. I don't know that there's room for them in the 2 big conferences. And if there's not, the next step to me is we end up with the Big 2, the SEC and the Big 10, effectively picking the parts they want from the deceased carcass of the ACC. And then whoever's left, Syracuse, Boston College, et cetera, Wake Forest probably, whoever's left will end up in the Big 12 because that's the next closest thing. And the Big 12 will expand to be the same size as the SEC and the Big 10, but obviously without the resources of the SEC and the Big 10. And they will do whatever the hell they can to survive. But this lawsuit coming from Clemson is unsurprising. And no, I would not be shocked to see Miami either file an additional lawsuit or become a party to Florida State's lawsuit. I would not be shocked to see North Carolina do the same. NC State partner with them to do it. Duke do the same. Virginia and Virginia Tech do the same. And then everybody north of that line, I think, is probably, if not file a lawsuit, may outright join up to help the ACC. Because those schools will be better off if they can legally mandate FSU and Clemson and North Carolina and Miami and whoever else stay in the conference. Because once they take off, the ACC's dead. Not like kind of dead. Not like a little dead. Like end of the Law and Order SVU episode, dead. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. There's some thoughts on the lawsuit. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, got a few more things I want to get into to wrap up hour number 1 of the show. Water cooler cheat sheet coming up at 7 o'clock. At 8:20, Hayden asks Mario from the BetQL Network, is going to join us to talk some NBA. We'll get you caught up. And then it's bracket filling time, y'all. All that more coming up on the Rob Brown Show. Brandon in for Lonzo. I'm Rob. It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, going to step away and use the restroom for just a minute. Y'all stay right there. I will be right back. All right, y'all, we're back. Thanks for hanging in there. Make sure the commercials are.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Welcome to. We would love for you to be a part of what we're building here in the college football plays. But to think that you should get an equal cut with us, the Southeastern Conference, the Big Ten Conference, the two families, crazy. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna go home to your beautiful home, by the way. It'd be a real shame if something happened to it. You're gonna go home. You're gonna talk amongst yourselves, and you're gonna realize that what we're offering you is very generous.
It's news. The Rob Brown Show, now morning 6 to 10 on The Fan.
The Fan Upstate.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, The Fan.
Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live from the Free Odyssey app.
Getting your biggest tax refund from Jackson Hewitt can lead to some spirited reactions. Jackson Hewitt! Jackson Hewitt is so sure they'll get you your biggest refund that if they don't, you get your money back plus $100.
Jackson, Hewitt!
Switch to Jackson Hewitt and we'll beat what you paid last year, even if you filed online. Ain't nothing to it. Switch to Jackson Hewitt and pay less for tax prep, guaranteed. Proof of filing your payment required by filing. New clients only at participating locations through April 7th. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
Ulta Beauty's semi-annual beauty event is happening now. Unleash your love for beauty with 50% off daily beauty steals on hair, skin, makeup, and fragrance. Shop your favorite brands like Tarte and Into Beauty by Rihanna. Plus, grab perfect hair care pairs from brands like Redken and Olaplex. And check out new arrivals from brands like Charlotte Tilbury and Dyson. Shop the Ulta Beauty semi-annual beauty event online, in-store, or try pickup today. Now through March 28th. Ulta Beauty. The possibilities are beautiful. Conditions apply.
Hey everybody, it's Boomer's Nicer. You know, eBay Motors is here for the ride with the parts you need for the prices you want. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Pluto TV won't cost
15
you
seconds.
because everything is free. So if you want to watch 3-part Mean Girls or The Price is Right, well, The Price is Right. It's free. Just download the app, which, by the way, is also free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
The Rob Brown Show Bracket Challenge is on. dudes and dudettes. We are looking to find out which listener, which member of the Rob Brown Show Armada is going to have bragging rights for a year. My guy Diddy took it home last year. An insider took home the dub last year, and he is coming for blood again this year. I want you, as a member of the Armada, to have a shot. The winner of the Rob Brown Show bracket pick'em is going to get the opportunity to come on this show and to host a segment with me. If you've had grand aspirations of seeing if you could do it too, or maybe you want to come at me on the air and try to make me look like an idiot. Not like I don't already do a good enough job of that. This is your chance. Here's what I need you to do. If you want to be a part of the Rob Brown Show Bracket Challenge, keep in mind, the brackets lock tomorrow right around the end of this show. So if you want in, my suggestion is to right now, this very second, shoot me an email, rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. Just pop me an email requesting the invitation. I will shoot you an email immediately back with a link. You click on that link and you will be taken to the Rob Brown Show Bracket Challenge. We are hosting it through CBSSports.com this year, as we are, of course, a CBS Sports Radio affiliate. So if you would like to fill out and submit your bracket in the Rob Brown Show Bracket Challenge, rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. John Rogers is in. John wrote yesterday evening, said, I want in so I can beat you. Enjoy your show in the mornings. You have converted me from your competitor in Spartanburg. It's not even close. Hopefully you'll be calling a lot of touchdown passes for my son this upcoming season at Burns. His name is Kane Rogers. I got to call some of Kane's stuff last year. He got a chance to fill in when the Rebels were on the road at Greer last year. And hopefully my man's going to have a great season for the Rebs this year. But John, we appreciate, man. Great to get that email from you. And of course, if you want in, do it now. rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. Shoot me an email right this very second. I will reply immediately to that email with an email of my own that has the invitation link. Whoever comes up out of the Armada with the best bracket will get the opportunity to host a segment with me sometime at the time of your I'm even going to make it easy. It's whenever you want. You can hold off on your segment until football season. You can come in here and take 14 minutes out of your life to just absolutely dog your rival on the air if you want. All right. You can come in during baseball season. Maybe you want to hold off to the playoffs, talk a little Atlanta Braves ball at the end of the year when the Bravos go get themselves another big piece of metal, according to the MLB commissioner. Maybe you want to do it right away. Maybe you just immediately want to step in and sing the songs of your own glory and success live on the radio broadcast. However you want to handle it, it's up to you, but you've got to win. Just got an email from Kelly. Kelly's in on the bracket competition. Kelly, that email is coming right back to you right this very second with the link invite to the pool. rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. That is how you get involved in the Rob Brown Show Bracket Challenge. Shoot that email over right this very second. Jared has just sent an email. Jared, it's on its way back to you as well. So Jared and Kelly already in this morning. If you would like to be next, rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up in the next hour of the show, we got your water cooler cheat sheet. Right out the gate, top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, and coworkers today. Then a saga of a football player, who has put some miles under their proverbial cleats and has absolutely infuriated a lot of people in the process. A saga that many of you are going to point at me in the face and go, see, Rob, I told you. The transfer portal and NIL are bad. I'm going to tell you that saga coming up later on in the next hour as well. My man, Brandon, is lined up. How about this? How about this email? Look at this email. Alan just emailed the show and said, quote, I am issuing a formal request to be invited to your noble battle to the death. Also, thank you for making my drive from Spartanburg to Lawrence so much more enjoyable. Pleasure's mine, Alan. You, my friend, are entering the Thunderdome. 100 brackets enter. Only one remains. Alan, that email's back in your inbox, bud. Appreciate it. Looking forward to it. Rob.Brown at thefanupstate.com and the water cooler cheat sheet up next after this Sports Flash. Clemson has joined Florida State in the filing of a lawsuit against the Atlantic Coast Conference. The filing was made in Pickens County yesterday and states the ACC's grant of rights and exit fees are both, quote, unconscionable and unenforceable, end quote. The lawsuit claims the grant of rights, which would maintain Clemson's media rights if the university was to leave, is, quote, inconsistent with the plain language of that agreement, end quote. The lawsuit asks for declaration that the conference would not maintain ownership of said rights should Clemson leave and asks for the exit fee to be ruled as unenforceable. The school argues that the pay gap between the ACC and Big Ten and SEC schools will prevent Clemson from competing consistently on a national level. PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan and multiple player tour directors met with the governor of the Saudi Public Investment Fund of the Bahamas over the last few days. Monahan said the conversation was constructive and is reflective of the round of conversations that nearly led to a merger last year. However, he did not get into specifics, and no players have yet spoken about the meeting. We got more coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Unique and unlike any other sports talk show. It's BetMGM tonight, Monday through Friday from 7 to 11, only on the Fan. BetMGM tonight is the red zone for casual and hardcore sports fans. Live sports betting updates for all of the night's games as they happen. Get the latest scores, sides, totals, props, parlays, futures, and much more with real-time, relevant sports wagertainment tonight at 7. BetMGM tonight, exclusively on the Fan
Upstate.
and on the Odyssey app.
Up to minute of safe traffic, starting to see some hefty delays now. South on I-85, got a crash there between Pelham Road and I-385, at least one lane block. So pretty slow traffic there. I would say it's backing up towards Block and the Lyman. Also I-85 at Gossett Road, that problem that was in the right lane. Looks like that's on the shoulder. Not much of a factor there. Construction I-26, both sides, right around Highway 292 and Highway 11. Got one lane block. From the News Talk 98.9 WRU Traffic Center, I'm Lori Houston on the Fan, Upstate.
Starting March 18th for 3 days only, shop limited time doorbusters during Lowe's.
Stream, y'all are quiet today, man. Made it a whole hour. We got one comment. What are we doing here?
Get 1 box of Metabo HPT.
As Nick Saban would say, what are we doing?
A $49.98 value. Plus, save $39 on a Little Giant A4 6-foot 300-pound step ladder. Shop these deals and more while supplies last. Lowe's knows pros. Valid 3/18 to 3/20. Selection varies by location.
Getting your biggest tax refund from Jackson Hewitt can lead to some spirited reactions. Jackson Hewitt! Jackson Hewitt is so sure they'll get you your biggest refund that if they don't, you get your money back plus $100.
Jackson Hewitt!
Switch to Jackson Hewitt and we'll beat what you paid last year, even if you filed online. Ain't nothing to it. Switch to Jackson Hewitt and pay less for tax prep, guaranteed. Proof of prior year payment required when filing. New clients only at participating locations through April 7th. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
Ulta Beauty's semi-annual beauty event is happening now. Unleash your love for beauty with 50% off daily beauty steals on hair.
Did you see the story about A-Rod? Him and Mark Lore have lost the financial backing for the final portion to own the Minnesota Timberwolves. Have to find a new way to raise the money, which is due on March 27th.
I don't want to hear it. A-Rod's a billionaire. Knock it off.
We'll be live today from 3 till 7 at Eagles Markets at 8004 Warren H. Abernathy Highway in Spartanburg. Stop by and
I said that stadium only has 17,000 people.
Starting March March 18th for 3 days only. Shop limited time doorbusters during Lowe's MVP's bonus days. Buy one Metabo HPT 15-degree roofing nailer. Get one box of Metabo HPT 1 1/4 inch collated roofing nails free, a $49.98 value. Plus, save $39 on a Little Giant A4 6-foot 300-pound step ladder. Shop these deals and more while supplies last.
30 seconds.
Lowe's knows pros. Valid 3/18 to 3.
Water cooler cheat sheet in the first segment.
All right.
Heard the catchphrase that's sweeping the nation?
Jackson, Hugh, yeah.
People are saying Jackson Hugh yeah to Jackson Hewitt because they love saving money on tax prep. Do you love saving money? Then switch to Jackson Hewitt today and pay less than last year. Thousands of people have already made the switch. Why haven't you? Stop waiting and start filing. You won't get a better deal or a better catchphrase. All together now.
Jackson Hugh, yeah.
For proprietary opinion required when filing. New clients only at participating locations through April 7th. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
The Fan.
Upstate.
WYRD Greenville.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3 Greenville.
W249DL Greenville.
W246CB Spartanburg. Always live on the Free Odyssey.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Our numero dos of the Rob Brown radio program starts right now. It is the Fan Upstate. My name? Well, I'm Rob Brown. My man on the other side of the board today, filling in for the great one, Lonzo, on a well-earned vacation today. Brandon's in the house. What's up, dog?
Let's get it. I'm ready.
Hour number one, real good. Hour number two, gonna be even better.
It's going to be elite.
Got a few more emails during the break there about folks who wanted in. If you want in on the Rob Brown radio program bracket challenge, shoot me an email right now, rob.brown@thefanupstate.com, rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. I will reply with an email with the link. You jump in, you join it, you become part of the bracket challenge. The winner of the bracket challenge this year will have an opportunity to host a segment with me right here on the radio program. But it is just after 7 o'clock in the morning. You've got, sucks to be you, about an hour left to go before you got to clock in at work. You got to read all those damn emails that stacked up yesterday. And you know one of them is going to be from the boss. Boss is going to be like, where's that report you were supposed to have yesterday? When you know good and gosh darn well, all you wanted to do was get home and watch some play-in basketball last night. Like watching Virginia embarrass themselves on national TV last night, getting hammered by the Rams of Colorado State. So you didn't do any work yesterday afternoon. You got to get caught up. But you will. All right. We're all about positivity here on the show. You'll get caught up, and then it'll be time for that first break. And when it's time for that first break, you're going to walk down the hall. You're going to feel loosey-goosey, relaxed, refreshed, ready to talk sports with your coworkers and pretend like everything in your life doesn't matter except for that. And if you're going to talk sports at work, you are going to need this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
"You hear that?"
even before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
Time for the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports with your coworkers today. Let's dive right in with item numero uno. We talked about this back in the last hour of the radio broadcast, but it is, without question nor doubt, the most important story, certainly in the land of collegiate football today. In a significant move that could continue to alter the rapidly shifting landscape of college sports. That's how Pete Thamel of ESPN wrote it up. Clemson has officially filed a lawsuit against the ACC yesterday. In a filing in the Court of Common Pleas in Pickens County, South Carolina, Clemson calls into question both the ACC's grant of rights and exit fees, calling the withdrawal penalty, quote, unconscionable, end quote, and unenforceable, end quote. It also calls the ACC's view that the league's grant of media rights would allow the league to own Clemson's media rights even after it left the league a, quote, nonsensical reading, end quote, wrong, end quote, inconsistent with the plain language of that agreement, end quote. Clemson asked in the lawsuit for a declaration that the ACC would not own the rights to Clemson's game, quote, and this might be the most important part of the whole thing, quote, after Clemson ceases to be a member of the ACC, end quote. Oh, they gone. Ain't no doubt. They just said the quiet part out loud. They gone. It's just a matter of when they gone, how they gone. Is it going to be an exit fee? Will this lawsuit end up in a reduced exit fee? Possibly, question mark. Would this lawsuit end up creating a way for them to just be gone? Maybe. We'll find out. The lawsuit is the second one filed against the ACC in recent months, as Florida State filed back in late December. The Clemson suit is significant because it indicates that the league's two clear-cut football powers and the only college football playoff participants out of that conference both want to leave the league. The ACC preemptively filed against FSU in Mecklenburg County, and the sides are haggling over the venue, whether it will take place in Florida or in North Carolina. In a statement later on Tuesday, ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips and Board of Directors Chair Jim Ryan maintain their belief that the courts will uphold the agreement between the conference and its members. They said in a statement, and I quote, Clemson, along with all ACC members, voluntarily signed and re-signed the 2013 and 2016 grant of rights, which is binding through 2036. In addition, Clemson agreed to the process and procedures for withdrawal. The conference's legal counsel will vigorously enforce the agreement and bylaws in the best interest of the ACC's current and incoming members. Of course, the lawsuit yesterday came within hours of the announcement that the College Football Playoff and ESPN announced a new 6-year, $7.8 billion with a B dollar contract that further amplifies the financial gap between the Big Ten and the SEC and the rest of college sports. Annually, each Big Ten and SEC team will earn more than $21 million under the new agreement, which starts in 2026. ACC teams will earn just over $13 million. Clemson makes clear in the lawsuit that the current ACC TV contract lags well behind the Big Ten and the SEC deals, and it looms as, quote, an inhibitor to Clemson competing at the highest level. Clemson took part in the college football playoff 6 times, won national championships in 2016 and 18, and argue that with the current contracts as they stand, they won't be able to do it again. Or if they do, it's going to be like real tough, like real tough, like real difficult. The arrival of Clemson's suit is more subtle than Florida State's because of Florida sunshine laws and the way FSU's, I'm using Pete Thamel's word here, quote, animated officials, end quote, forecast their lawsuit and attempt to depart as inevitability. But Clemson has been working just as diligently about the possibility of finding a future home since Oklahoma and Texas decided to leave the Big 12 for the SEC in 2021. And if you listen to the Rob Brown Show, weekdays from 6 till 10 a.m. right here and only on the Fan Upstate, you already knew that. That's not a surprise to anybody. Now, Pete Thamel writes this, quote, nowhere in the suit does Clemson declare that it's leaving the ACC, and neither it nor FSU has been invited anywhere. That process is tricky, as neither is expected to receive an invitation to another league, presumably the SEC or Big Ten, until they shed themselves of any legal liability. And I agree with Thamel, but words are important, and how words are used are important. As I mentioned, the sentence that got me earlier, quote, after Clemson ceases to be a member of the ACC, quote. So they didn't declare we're leaving, but they did say when we ain't here no more, which is telling, I think. Let's move on to item number 2 on the water cooler cheat sheet. This is a story that I think a lot of you probably don't care about. And this is a story that I don't care if you don't care about it, because it's big. We told you back on Monday, that Jordan Spieth said that members of the PGA Tour Board of Player Directors, of which there's a fistful, were being encouraged to meet with the governor of the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund. They were being asked to spend time with the guys in charge of the PIF and do so with the understanding that the PGA Tour and the LIV Tour were working towards a merger last year. They did not get that merger done in time by the deadline at the end of the year, so the conversation went by the wayside, but it ain't over. Then we reported to you on Tuesday that one Eldrick Tiger Woods was spotted in the Bahamas, as was the governor of the Saudi Arabian PIF. Then we reported that shortly after Tiger Woods arrived in the Bahamas and shortly after the governor of the PIF arrived in the Bahamas, Tiger's very, very nice and very, very private luxury cruising vessel went out for a nice little tour of the beautiful Caribbean waters around the Bahamian Islands. Now, we don't know what happened. We don't know what was said. We don't know that anything was said. Yesterday, Jay Monahan, who is the PGA Tour commissioner, came out and said, quote, "The conversation throughout was constructive and represents an important part of our due diligence process in selecting potential investors for PGA Tour enterprises. This mirrors the approach we employed earlier this year as we evaluated an investment offer from the Strategic Sports Group. During the session, Yasir being the governor of the PIF, had a chance to introduce himself to our player directors and talk through his vision, priorities, and motivations for investing in professional golf," end quote. We are just full of these today, man. I find this sentence very importante. Quote, "The conversation throughout was constructive and represents an important part of our due diligence process in selecting potential investors for PGA Tour enterprises." Selecting potential investors. Air quoting so hard, I just sprained a finger. Let's be real clear here, Jay. And for the record, I'm Team PGA Tour, okay? I know a lot of people don't want to pick sides on this, and I know a lot of you don't care. But I do, because I love golf. I am Team PGA Tour. I am anti-Team Saudi Arabia, PIF, and LIV Tour. Now, am I a hypocrite? Yes, because I understand every guy who went to go play for the LIV Tour. I completely get it. I also would take a lot of money to go work for the LIV Tour, despite, disliking them, like a lot. I get the guys who moved over. But my understanding their move over doesn't mean I have to like the move over. People make decisions all the time that I understand, but also I hate with a capital H. Now, I see what Jay is trying to do here. I understand what Jay's trying to do. Jay is trying to set this up as if the PGA Tour is the power holder. Now, in one part of the conversation, they are. Because with the LIV Tour and the accused sports washing that they are currently doing to try to distract everybody from the fact that Saudi Arabia sucks, television networks are a little afraid of the LIV Tour. That's why the best they were able to find is, for the second time, my apologies to, the CW. Not good enough. With some of the best golfers in the world, names like John Rahm, the best they can do is the CW. The PGA Tour owns golf television in the United States of America. However, The Live Tour owns something else. The Live Tour is playing on a video game with the unlimited money cheat code turned on. I don't know how many of you played video games when you were a kid, but the process for many, if not most of us, was the same. The thought process was ordinarily, you get excited about the new game. You get home. You pop the new game into the console, and you play it for a day or a week or an hour or a month or whatever. But at some point, you get a little bored with the game, or at least the way the game is built. So back in the day, some of you Utes may not know this, but back in the day, these games built into themselves cheat codes. And you would go on the internet back in the days where getting on the internet meant and you would log in. And when you go to some website.
Who got on the computer?
Yeah, your mom would scream at you from the other side of the house because she heard the small war sounds that were going on from your dial-up internet modem. Nobody could use the phone while you were on the computer. And then you would go to a website and you would find cheat codes. Up, down, left, right, A, B, start, select. And you would take that cheat code and you'd pop it into the video game, and then the video game would open up a menu and it would be like, do you want unlimited life? Do you want unlimited money? The PIF is just that with the unlimited money glitch turned on. Because, in the game, you turned on unlimited money, and now you could buy all the nicest cars and all the biggest guns and whatever else you wanted. And now all of a sudden, you're playing level 3 bad guys with level 99 guns. And that was way more fun, wasn't it, Duke Nukem? That's what the PIF is. But the PIF is like a small indie video game with the unlimited money cheat code turned on. And the PGA Tour is like an EA Sports Madden caliber franchise, but they didn't put cheat codes in. So it can feel a little stale at times. I see what Jay's doing here. And for the record, I respect it. It's a power move, man. It's a power move to look an entity like the PIF that has the unlimited money cheat code turned on and say to them, screw you, we're the power players. It's a ballsy move, man. Big rocks move out of Jay Monahan there, no doubt about it. I'm intrigued to see what, if anything, comes out of these meetings. I'm intrigued to see what, if anything, comes out of this entire situation, because they both have a pretty solid foundation to stand on. If the Live Tour wins, you might start seeing PGA events or events with PGA players starting to take place in other countries around the world. You might see the purses change up. You might see team golf introduced into the PGA, something that, frankly, I don't know if I'm interested in or not. If the PGA Tour is able to convince the Live Tour that they need to come to the PGA Tour, then maybe we see a return to normalcy. I don't know. But these meetings are going to be interesting. When we come back, I will give you item number 3. Now, item number 3 is something that connects directly to us here at the Fan Upstate. It is something that connects directly to the personalities here on the station. If you were listening yesterday to Offsides with Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, you might already know what it is. But I have a microphone now, and I have words to say, and I will say them when we come back. Brandon, in for the great Malonzo. My name is Rob Brown. You are listening to The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, give me just a minute. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere. right, thanks for hanging in there, y'all.
It's in the labs, where researchers are discovering ways it's in the nation's best first-year student experience and top-ranked programs in nursing and health sciences. It's where more South Carolina students have access to higher education than ever before. Because when you stand for something bigger than yourself, you can create something that benefits us all. Behold, the remarkable we.
Do you know what game mode the Konami cheat code made famous? Yes, it was oh freaking hell. Not Double Dragon. Yes, I do, and I can't spit it out.
Ain't nothing to it. Switch to Jackson Hewitt and pay less for tax prep, guaranteed.
What game was it? I just blanked completely.
Only at participating locations through April 7th. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
Ulta Beauty's semi-annual beauty event is happening now.
Contra.
Your love for beauty with 50% off daily
That's it.
sales
Attaboy.
on hair, skin,
Attaboy,
and
Steven.
fragrance. Shop your favorite brands like Tarte and Victoria's
Had that game as a kid, man. Like as a young kid.
And check out new arrivals from brands like Charlotte Tilbury and Dyson. Shop the Ulta Beauty semi-annual beauty event online, in-store, or try pickup today. Now through March 29th. Ulta Beauty. The possibilities are beautiful. Conditions apply.
If you're looking for the most epic place on earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through a big jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and the Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure. Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. Not one based on the driver who treats the highway like a racetrack and the shoulder like a passing lane. Why pay a rate based on anyone else? Get one based on you with DriveWise from Allstate. Not available in Alaska or California, subject to terms and conditions. Rates are determined by several factors which vary by state. In some states, participation in DriveWise allows Allstate to use your driving data for purposes of rating. While in some states, your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Generally, safer drivers will save with DriveWise. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
What up, y'all? It's your boy Danny Green, 3-time NBA champ. You either rooted for me or rooted against me. Join myself and my co-host Harrison Sanford on the Inside the Green Room podcast.
It's a podcast that brings you never-before-told tales from the locker room to candid interviews with basketball legends to breakdowns of what's happening in the NBA right now. Whether you're a diehard fan or casual about your hoops, this podcast brings you the game
15
like never
seconds.
before.
Follow Inside the Green Room on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Sponsored by ChumbaCasino.com. Welcome to the ultimate playground for online social casino enthusiasts. Get ready to live the Chumba life and play over 100 online casino-style games for free at ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions.
18+. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown with you today. The great Monzo out on a well-deserved vacation. My man Brandon manning the ones and the twos today on the show. If you missed the announcement yesterday on Offsides with Mark Ryan, and I don't think I'm taking wind out of sails, and I sincerely apologize if I am, but he made the announcement, so I feel like we're good. My colleague, my comrade, my partner in crime, my coworker, Mark Ryan, has accepted a position with 97.1 in Detroit, Michigan. Mark's last day will be on Friday with us here on the Fan Upstate. Let me say, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, could not be more happy for or proud of the guy. Mark Ryan and I worked together years ago down in Destin, Florida. When I was in Jacksonville and things got squirrely for me down there, I was very much ready to give up on this industry. And as I packed a U-Haul trailer in Jacksonville, Florida, preparing to drive back to Pensacola with, honestly, no idea what I was going to do, I threw a Hail Mary. I got in touch with Mark Ryan. I said, hey, man, I think I'm done with radio. I got screwed. I'm tired of getting screwed. I think I'm out. Just what are your thoughts? And Mark said, dude, you're good. You shouldn't give up. This kind of crap happens. It's happened to every one of us, and it's going to happen to every one of us again. You should not give up. And Mark Ryan asked me to send me his stuff, or send him my stuff, I should say. Mark Ryan asked me to send him my stuff, and I did. And he gave me some critique. He gave me some feedback. He said, do it again. Change this, try that. So I did it again, and I sent it back to him. And I had no idea why I was doing this, honestly. I thought he was just helping me put a demo reel together that I could get out there somewhere. And in the next phone call, Mark Ryan said, hey, look, we got a gig here. We got a show that's open. I'm not guaranteeing you anything. I'm not guaranteeing you the job. All I can tell you is I would like you to submit for the job. I would like to submit you for the job. And I said, as I looked in the back of a U-Haul full of my crap that wasn't even in boxes, that's how fast I left Jacksonville. I quite literally backed the U-Haul up to a storage unit and just threw everything I owned into the back of it. I said, you know what? I've never been anywhere else. I broadcast a lot of places, but I had never lived that far away from where I grew up. Screw it, why not? And I said, absolutely. Mark put me in. Here we are, where we are now, 4 years and a month-ish later. I now live in Greenville, South Carolina. I now have a dream job working on a fantastic station along with a bunch of wonderful people in a community that I feel like I have become a part of, in a community that I feel mostly has accepted me. I have developed incredible ties with the Greenville Triumph, the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, the Greenville Drive, the Furman Paladins, the Wofford Terriers. I get to cover not one, but 2 major Division I college football teams and athletic departments. I get to cover in close proximity not one, but 2 NFL teams, not one, but 2 NBA teams, an MLB team, an NHL, not one, but 2, hopefully soon, fingers crossed, 2 NHL teams. My life is real good. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart when I say I have Mark Ryan to thank for that. When Mark left Destin, it is no secret. We have both told the stories and joked about it on air. We got along about as well as gas in a match. Okay? It was volatile when we worked together down in Florida. But what I can say is this. Even when we butted heads, even when we had issues on or off the air, there has been 0 point in my life where I have not respected the hell out of that guy and what he's done and what he's accomplished. And the fact that when my ass was getting roasted in this industry, Mark Ryan is the dude that stepped in and stepped up and said, let's see if we can make something happen. And because of him, not only am I here in a place that I love, in a place that I truly call home now, but I have a lovely fiance that I met because of him. I have connections around the sports world that I did not have until now because of him. That dude went out of his way for a guy that when I called him and said the Jacksonville thing didn't work and I'm in trouble, would have been absolutely justified and saying, hey, you, Rob Brown. Absolutely not. But he didn't. He said, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to do to get better. Here's how you can get better. Do these things, get better, and let's see what happens. And then he put me in for this job, a job I didn't even know about at the time. I could not be happier for him. I could not be more proud of him. I have been here 4 years, but I also understand that this station's not this station without him. This station is not this station without the work that he did. And I know there are a lot of you that dislike the guy because of his takes or his opinions or his whatever. But I am going to tell you right now that whether you like the show, whether you hate the show, whether you listen because you loved it or you listen because you loved to hate it, without Mark Ryan, the fan upstate is not the fan upstate. We are not where we are. The work that guy put in, the grind that guy went through in order to build this thing into the brand and into the machine that it is invaluable. And those of us that are here, I will speak on behalf of everybody, and I feel justified in doing so, cannot thank him enough for what he's done, cannot thank him enough for the work that he has put in, cannot thank him enough for what he has gone through in order to make this station what this station is and give all the rest of us the opportunity to continue to try to elevate it. He is going to Detroit, Michigan, a spectacular sports city. He is going to have the opportunity to cover the Tigers, the Red Wings, the Wolverines, the Pistons, the Lions. And dude deserves it. Dude deserves it. I cannot tell you from a behind-the-scenes perspective what that dude has meant to this station. What that dude has meant to me. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. So while we have absolutely butted heads over the years, we butted heads since I got here. We absolutely have differing opinions on radio and how it should be done, and sports, and all the things that happen within those two bubbles. Without a doubt, there is one thing that we have had in common. The belief in what this station can be, the belief in what this sports community of upstate South Carolina is, and the direction that we all wanted to go. I've told the story many, many, many times that when I got this job, a job I got through and because of Mark Ryan, when I got this job and I got here and I did my 2-day audition, and before I left, I went down to Mark Hendricks, the guy who would become my boss. And he said, look, man, let's be real. We want somebody who's going to be here long term. Are you in it for the long haul? My response was, I am here until I get an offer for somebody that I bring to you and put on your desk and you go, good job. Congratulations. You have to take that opportunity. And I mentioned then and I mean it now. It would take a life-changing offer to get me off these airwaves and out of this area. Without a doubt. Mark just got that in Detroit. Mark just got that in Detroit. Mark deserves it in Detroit. The Detroit sports community is going to be better off now that he is there. And Detroit's gain is our loss. I appreciate Mark Ryan. I thank Mark Ryan. The life I have now would not be the life that I have without Mark Ryan. The station that I work on would not be the station that it is without Mark Ryan. And while I know he is grated on many of your nerves, I don't think that I would be telling anything to you that would shock you by saying it's happened to me. And I know I have grated on his in the past. None of us are listening to or talking about what we are listening to and talking about right now if it wasn't for the past 5 years that guy poured everything he had into this station and into this community. So I thank him. I appreciate him. I will miss him on the station. I will miss Offsides. I listen to Offsides every day. Not all 4 hours because I'm a very busy person, but I listen to that show every day. That show will be missed. Mark's personality will be missed. I will tell you this. I've said it for years. I've worked with a lot of talented people over the years. I have worked with people from every walk of life, every school of broadcasting, the old school broadcasting, the new school broadcasting. I have worked with people who are college football only guys. I have worked with national broadcasters. I still do. I have worked with people from all around the broadcasting universe. And I mean when I say, because one of the last things that I want to do is pump up anybody's ego bigger than my own. I've said it for years, even when he and I were butting heads. Mark Ryan might be the most talented broadcaster I've ever worked with. He might be the single most talented broadcaster that I have ever had the pleasure and sometimes aggravation of sharing the airwaves with, of sharing a station with. Whether you like him or dislike him, this community, this station, the sports scene around this area, and our show, this show I'm on right now, not only exists because, but all of those entities are better off because of that guy and the work that he has put in this area for the past half a decade. I appreciate you, Mark Ryan. I am proud that we have shared these airwaves. I am proud of you for the opportunity that you have earned in Detroit. I have zero doubt that you are going to kick enormous amounts of ass there. And when I say you, I mean you, the listener, you, the viewer, whatever. You guys have not seen nor heard Mark Ryan for the last time because I have exactly and precisely zeroed out that cat's going to be showing up on our radio airwaves even in the future, doing national stuff. Mark Ryan, I thank you for me being here. I thank you for this job. I thank you for this station being where it is. I thank you for getting me here and giving me a life that is the best it has ever been. I thank you for all the things that come along with that. I am proud to have worked on this station with you, and I have zero doubt that the folks up in Detroit are going to be real glad they made the decision to bring you from Greenville, South Carolina, up to the great state of Michigan. Thank you for everything. We will see you down the road. And again, no doubt I'm still going to be turning on the radio on Sunday mornings to listen to CBS Sports National and hearing Mark Ryan grace the airwaves. Not a doubt in my mind that's going to happen. So congratulations, Mark Ryan. Very happy for you. Very proud of you and appreciate everything you have done, not just for the station, not just for the community, but for me personally. Now, the second part of that conversation, for those of you that have asked, this show is staying this show in this time slot. I believe, my bosses believe, just about everybody who's played this game believe, a good morning show is a key to any sports talk radio station. We set the tone every day. If you are listening when you are driving to work, when you are at work, we set the tone. We get the opportunity, more often than not, to be the first ones to react to things. When games go final at night, we're the first ones to talk about them the next morning. After a long football weekend, we're the first ones to come in and have a run at whatever games are the important ones to talk about. When news breaks like it did yesterday, we're the first ones to be in here the next day to talk about it and give you guys thoughts and opinions and takes and get your reactions. When you listen to the show, you carry whatever mood, this is our belief, you carry whatever mood you picked up from this show into the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one throughout the day. I am beyond honored to have the opportunity to work in a drive time slot. We busted our hump, Lonzo and I did, to get to this spot. We are staying in this spot. So for those of you that are asking what's going on in the afternoons, I am thrilled to tell you that we are promoting from within. There is no one on this station, and I include myself in this. There is no one on this station that puts in more grind than Diesel does. Nobody. He is every day working to make the YouTube channel better, working to make the podcasting segment of the website better, working to make his show better. And Diesel has the opportunity to step into that microphone and take over that show, but he does not do it alone. Because one of my other favorite people of the upstate will be serving as his co-host and co-producer. Diesel and Cole Bryson will both be the executive host and producers of the show, which starting next Monday will be called Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. And I am pumped, dude, because I will tell you right now, those two fellas have a passion for this. Diesel has a passion for this. Cole Bryson was off doing his own thing, running his own business, doing a hell of a job of it, and said, hell yeah, I'm coming back. I'm not skipping this opportunity. I expect that those two cats are going to put on a show every afternoon that is going to be unlike anything you have ever heard on a sports talk radio broadcast outlet before, and I am pumped. They have worked their asses off. They have earned it. And I know that they will carry the legacy of Offsides with Mark Ryan and Diesel forward and make something even bigger and even better with Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. It is going to be a phenomenal show. I will be, as I have been for 5 years for Offsides, tuned in every day to hear what those two fellas are coming up with. I am ecstatic for and proud of the work that Diesel and Cole have both put in to earn the shot at the afternoon drive. And I know that we are all going to, once again, be better off for the work that they will put in to make sure that that show and this station continue to thrive. So again, thank you to Mark Ryan for everything, for this job, for the station, for the life I have here in the upstate. Congratulations to Diesel and Cole Bryson. I very much look forward to making fun of both of you on the air routinely and repeatedly, because that's what boys do. Congratulations to those fellas. All right, so there you go. That's where we are. That's what's happening. Mark headed up to Detroit, Michigan. We wish him the best of luck. No doubt we will be hearing from and seeing him many, many times over in the future. Congratulations to Cole and Diesel for taking over the afternoon drive. I am, and I mean this like a proud Papa Bear, with those two cats moving into that spot. Back after this to wrap up the hour on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, after all that ass kissing I just did on the radio, I'm going to go throw up. I'll be right back. right, dudes and dudettes, we are back. Thanks for hanging in there.
QC Kinetics regenerative treatments from our board-certified providers help heal and restore aching joints. No surgery, harmful drugs, or downtime. Call for your free consultation today.
Call QC Kinetics, 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Mount Valley Foundation Services. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at fixmyfoundation.com.
To thank you for 40 unforgettable years, Dell Technologies is celebrating with anniversary savings on their most popular tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors and more. Plus, curate your dream setup.
15 seconds.
On select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
Talk to Rob Gonzo, 844. That's 844.
The Rob Brown Show carries on. It is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob, Brandon in for the great one, Lonzo, today. It's actually said, way to go, Diesel and Cole. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, those boys put in work, absolutely work around here. Man, again, super, super stoked. I will be staying right here in this spot. Very happy to stay in this spot. The reality is the drive time either direction, morning or afternoon, is equally important. And we set the tone for the day. And, when I got the gig, I got told it's energy. It's just gas. And I've told you from the beginning, we're audio Red Bull. What's the best time for Red Bull? Either if you got Jaeger or first thing in the morning. That's it. Those are the two times for Red Bull. That's it. Joey said, I can't stand 90% of Mark's take, but the genuine person he is absolutely unheard of these days. Gonna miss him. Yeah, we will. We absolutely will. Like I said, Mark Ryan is as good as you're going to find anywhere, and Detroit's going to be better off for having him up there. Congratulations to him and to Diesel and Cole for getting the opportunity to slide into that spot. All right. We got some more stuff we need to get into as we round out our numero dos here on the radio broadcast. The Panthers have made a couple more free agent moves, and then immediately one of them turned around and went the other way. The Panthers have agreed to terms with veteran wide receiver David Moore on a one-year deal. That, according to Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer. 29-year-old Moore was with Dave Canellis and Brad Idzik in Tampa last year. Played only 10 games the past two seasons, including 7 last year, where he totaled 5 catches for 94 yards and a touchdown. Moore, who was with Seattle in his first 4 seasons, spent the 2021 offseason with Carolina, so he's at least familiar with the franchise, though he's not played a game with Carolina. They also signed a contract for a year with linebacker Justin Strnad. However, according to reports right now, Strnad apparently had a change of heart. They agreed to terms on a one-year deal per The Athletic. The 27-year-old appeared in 50 games with 5 starts for the Broncos over the past 3 seasons. Last year, played 17 games, made 5 tackles, seeing action on 395 special team snaps. Strnad has not played on defense since 2021. Not a big loss. Felt more like he was going to be just a kind of a body, a special teams guy, a guy that you could run out there on the scout team in practice to simulate a very good linebacker elsewhere. But doesn't matter, because apparently he had a change of heart and decided that he is going to return to the Denver Broncos. So just the one addition of David Moore onto this roster for the Carolina Panthers. Again, nothing really moving the needle. Nothing really earth-changing. Coming up in the next hour of the show, we got a couple of things we're going to do, including go up and down the list of the best remaining free agents at every position across the football field, including the wide receiver position. Mike Williams, off the board, signing a contract with the New York Football Jets, which doesn't surprise me. The chance to have Aaron Rodgers of the football persuasion throwing you the rock is probably something very interesting for a guy in the position that Mike Williams is in, trying to have a resurgence. But Mike Thomas is still out there. Odell Beckham Jr. is still out there. Hunter Renfrow, Tyler Boyd, Michael Gallup, and MVS Marquez Valdez-Scantling all still on the board. Are any of them potentially fits for the Panthers at the offensive line spot? DJ Humphries, Donovan Smith, Andrews Pete from New Orleans, Connor Williams, Dalton Risner, all still out there and available. So we're going to take a look at some of the best remaining free agents across the board in the next hour. We will also have Hating Ass Mario from the BetQL Network. Mario Herron, my executive producer on Bet for the Cycle on Saturdays, and an NBA expert and analyst for Bet for the Cycle, will join us to wrap up the next hour of the show and get caught up on everything happening in the Association. We'll also tell you tomorrow is going to be a very, very busy day on the show. We got a bunch of stuff going on tomorrow. John Martin is a host for 92.9 out of Memphis, Tennessee. He is also the host of BetQLU on the BetQL Network. He will join us tomorrow for one last look at the brackets. He will give us some of his thoughts on some of the teams we think could be bounced early, some of the favorites who he believes will make a run, and some Cinderella possibilities with John Martin tomorrow on the show. We're also going to be joined tomorrow on the show by Greenville Triumph captain Brandon Fricke. We'll talk a little net with Brandon Fricke on the show tomorrow. We're going to do it today because the goal moving forward is to do a Triumph segment every Wednesday. But the boys have a contest tonight. They are on the road over in Columbia, taking on Carolina FC in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open's first round. It is a survive and advance tournament that includes every level of American soccer, from beer league clubs all the way up to MLS. It is a tournament that every year provides a couple of upsets that shock the American soccer community. Every year provides some incredible storylines. It starts tonight for the Triumph on the road over in Columbia. Brandon Fricke tomorrow will join us to discuss the inevitable Greenville Triumph win, and we look very much forward to that. Next hour of the show comes up after we do this Sports Flash. Clemson has joined Florida State in the filing of a lawsuit against the Atlantic Coast Conference. The filing was made in Pickens County yesterday and states the ACC's grant of rights and exit fees are both, quote, unconscionable and unenforceable, end quote. The lawsuit claims the GOR, which would maintain Clemson's media rights if the university was to leave the conference, is, quote, inconsistent with the plain language of that agreement. The school argues that the gap between the ACC and Big Ten SEC schools in funding will prevent Clemson from competing consistently on a national level. If you pick Kansas in the Final Four, good news, you've got more time to change your bracket. The Jayhawks announced yesterday their star, Kevin McCullough Jr., will not play in the tournament due to a bone bruise on his knee. The breakout star averaged over 18.6 boards and 4 assists on the season before the injury a few weeks ago. And Team USA men's and women's basketball will both open the 2024 Olympics with rematches of their last gold medal games. The men face off with Serbia and Nikola Jokic. The women against Japan, a rematch from the Tokyo Olympics final. We're back after this with the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
On your radio at 97.7 FM in Greenville, 97.1 FM in Spartanburg.
You need more?
There's a whole lot more to know about
if you really want to go into the subject.
Your smart speaker. Just say, play the Fan Upstate on your HD radio, WFDC HD3. Oh, there's just one more thing. And on your computer at the Fan.
FanUpstate.com.
Up to the minute upstate traffic, still some nasty delays.
Nasty.
Southbound I-85 between Pelham Road and I-85.
Nasty.
Still have at least one lane blocked. Still waiting on tow trucks there. It's a hazmat spill as well. So it's been there about an hour and a half. Still very, very slow back here on Brockman, McClimbing. Also that construction I-26 both sides between 292 and Highway 11. You still have one lane blocked. From the News Talk 98.9 WRD Traffic Center, I'm Lloyd Houston on the Fan Upstate.
Hi, this is Mark Ryan with Offsides. We'll be live today from 3 till 7 at Ingles Markets at 8004 Warren H. Abernathy Highway in Spartanburg. Stop by and say hi. We'll also be giving away a $25 Ingles gift card.
Put the boys in. We'll discuss as we take a bite out of history with Ingles Markets. It's May of 1864 in the middle of Virginia, in the heart of our Civil War. Grant and Lee are battling it out up and down the Shenandoah Valley, and their armies meet.
Down.
John C. Breckinridge of the Confederacy found himself out.
Yes, Shane, I said the same thing. I hate being old.
250 infantry and an artillery section of cadets left VMI and marched towards Newmarket. Their average age was just 16, but when the fighting started, the Union artillery put a glaring gap in the middle of the Confederate line, and Breckinridge had no choice but to plug that hole with VMI cadets. The cadets fought valiantly, never gave up the ground, and the Confederates won the day. The field where the cadets fought was freshly plowed and muddy. Many of the kids lost their shoes in the mud as they marched and charged. Today, it's simply known as the Field of Lost Shoes. 10 VMI cadets were killed in the Battle of Newmarket. This has been a bite out of history with Ingles Markets.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-60.
Hello, Christopher.
Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems.
Oh, this is good. Should I turn the stream off for this?
You know what? They're not going to be able to see it. It's
Okay,
going to be
fair
a
enough.
visual joke for you.
Oh, good. Good.
I was trying to send text my wife. For the record, I was trying to search for itchy and
Did
scratchy.
you get a haircut or are you just sweaty?
No, I just rinsed the sink
Okay.
because it was bothering me.
Yeah, okay. I get it.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, for sure. Why miss that
Itchy and
option?
Scratchy, the classic.
The Itchy and Scratchy show.
Exactly. So I go type in itchy, and these are the suggestions.
Oh, this is
that
going
I
to be
get.
amazing.
Getting your biggest tax refund from Jackson Hewitt can lead to some spirited.
I'm not going to read any of those.
What I would like to point out is the last one is spelled wrong.
It is. It is. It is. It sure is.
Where Google thinks I'm a woman. And what really bothers me about
or
this?
maybe you just really care about
No,
one,
no, no.
like intimately care about one.
What really bothered me about this is that I am searching GIFs. So it was
Click
gonna,
one.
No,
Click one.
No,
You coward.
No.
You coward.
No.
You coward.
So that's what I woke up to.
That's
I just needed somebody other than me to know that.
Yeah.
So, and I figured you were the one that would least be likely to get me in trouble for showing somebody that.
No, I appreciate that greatly.
Hey, Tara, look at this.
Yeah, don't do that.
No,
don't do that. I am the walking avoidance of an HR issue. No one else may be. It's just me.
Cheers. Have a good show.
Yeah, thanks, bud. My day's already better.
30 seconds.
Is switching your wireless service to Total by Verizon easy?
That person, are we supposed to call them or are they on the stream today?
They'll be on the stream.
All right, cool.
Glad you said that, guys. Send old Mario an invitation.
All right, 10 seconds.
WYRD Greenville.
WORD Spartanburg.
WSBC HD3 Greenville. The official sports voice of the Upstate Fan. CBS Sports Radio. Always live from the Free Odyssey app.
Hey, check this out.
You're an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents me to win. Yeah.
Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show. Get Rob. Only
The Fan Upstate.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen, into the third hour of the show. It's about to get here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. My name is Rob Brown. Brandon filling in for the great one, Lonzo, over on the other metaphorical side of the glass today. Somebody tell Brandon a joke. Brandon has hit the it's freaking early wall. Happens to every one of us every day, bud. This is why every day when I break out Monster in a barrel and inevitably somebody says, that's bad for you. Yeah. So's getting up at 3:30 in the morning.
So,
I'm painfully aware, my dudes.
I, ever since my heart attack, my medications that I take for my heart interact with my sleeping aid. Well, my sleeping aid, unfortunately, is not ready to be filled until Friday, so I have no sleeping aid. So last night I had a fun-filled night of no sleep. I have not slept since the night before, so I am flat out exhausted. I'm like barely hanging on. I've had a C4 energy drink, which I know is not good for me, but I've also had some tea. I've had
who would sit around
Pepsi.
drinking energy drinks?
As you drink one. And then I've had water. I've got up as much time as I can just to keep myself awake, and I'm struggling, y'all.
We're gonna get you through it, pal. That's what we do. Hour number 3 underway here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Coming up here in just a few minutes from now, we're going to take a look up and down your best remaining NFL free agents position by position. Then in the final segment of this hour, we will be joined by my partner in crime over on the BetQL Network. Hating Ass Mario is going to join us on the broadcast to talk a little NBA basketball, keep you all caught up on everything happening around the Association as of late. But before we get to either one of those things, let's jump back in here for just a minute. We have talked, obviously, at length this morning a little bit about the lawsuit that Clemson has brought against the Atlantic Coast Conference. They line up behind Florida State University in filing a lawsuit against the conference, of which they are, as of right now, still a member. We got into a little bit of the gory details earlier in the show. If you are lacking on those details, then I advise you to go to thefanupstate.com, thefanupstate.com. In the top middle of the page, there is a drop-down menu. That drop-down menu says podcast. You click on that. You go click on the drop-down menu where it says The Rob Brown Show. You go back and open up hour number 1. You go back and listen to segment number 2 of hour number 1, and you will get the gory details of the lawsuit that Clemson has filed against the Atlantic Coast Conference. Now, we jumped into some more detail. We jumped about what this might, possibly, maybe, potentially, theoretically mean for the other members of the Atlantic Coast Conference. We know that FSU has indeed filed a lawsuit against the ACC. We now know that Clemson has indeed filed a lawsuit against the ACC. We know that the ACC has already filed a countersuit back against Florida State University. And do not be shocked, my dear friends, when they do the exact same thing and fire back at Clemson as well. As we have mentioned many times, the reality here is that the folks like Jim Phillips at the top of the Atlantic Coast Conference hierarchy they realize that they are on a sinking ship. They realize that the only way they are going to at least run out the clock till 2036 is to fight back tooth and nail against these lawsuits. So they have filed back against Florida State. They will, I assume, do the same thing about Clemson. So, where does everybody else stand right now? Where does everybody else stand? Well, I want to take you back to last year. I want to take you back to last year when a term started floating around these discussions. That term was the Magnificent Seven. You remember when we discussed the Magnificent Seven? The Magnificent Seven was Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, Miami, Virginia, Virginia Tech, and NC State. These 7 schools all got together, sent some attorneys to what I assume has got to be one of the lamest parties in the history of ever to discuss what might be done in order to protect themselves and to protect their future earnings potential against what they, at least Florida State and Clemson now certainly do, consider some boneheaded moves from the Atlantic Coast Conference that were made in the past. In the Magnificent Seven at the time, it felt like we're kind of all on one page. Well, the ACC had to do something. So what did the Atlantic Coast Conference decide that they were going to do? What the ACC decided they were going to do is what every other conference was doing. They were going to expand. Why were they going to expand? I don't think it was because they truly believed that Stanford, Cal, and SMU were going to truly bring anything to the table. I believe that they thought that by increasing the membership number, what they were doing was adding 3 teams who were never going to vote to dissolve the league. Keep in mind, there is a magic number out there that if enough teams in this league decided that they didn't want to be in this league anymore, they could vote to dissolve the league. And that is part of the ACC's bylaws. And if FSU, Clemson, and whoever else were able to convince enough of these schools to vote to dissolve the league, the ACC would just poof, not exist anymore. So the ACC added Stanford, Cal, and SMU because that improved the number, increased the number. The problem was they had to get enough people within the game to decide that they were going to approve the expansion. Now, we knew, for instance, that Syracuse would, that Louisville would, that Boston College would, that Pitt would. Georgia Tech was probably iffy. Is Georgia Tech going to be catching an invite to the SEC or the Big Ten? Maybe. Remember, Tech has ties dating back to some of the SEC schools of 100 years. In fact, if you go read the lyrics to the fight song of the University of Alabama, Texas Tech is one of just a couple of schools that are mentioned by name. That's how long Texas Tech or Georgia Tech has a history with these schools. So they were a maybe. Wake Forest, again, a maybe. Probably vote for expansion. But they decided to go ahead and do the vote for expansion. The expectations were that FSU, Clemson, North Carolina, Miami, Virginia, Virginia Tech, and NC State would all vote against expansion, and that Duke, maybe, Syracuse, Louisville, Boston College, Pitt, Wake Forest probably, and Georgia Tech maybe could be convinced to be talked into expansion. There would have to be some leeway, some leverage there. Well, that leverage was there. That leverage was there in the amount of money that was going to be paid for the first year or two to the new school, specifically SMU, who said, yo, our boosters will cover us for the first year. I actually think 2. So the ACC doesn't have to give us anything, which means you can take our share and you can distribute it to all the other schools. Well, that was enough to get Duke, Syracuse, Louisville, Boston College, Pitt, Georgia Tech, and Wake Forest on board. Then there were a couple of X factors that came into play. One of them was Notre Dame. Notre Dame is not a member of the Atlantic Coast Conference, at least on the football field. They are for the other sports, but not for football. However, because they agreed to join in everything except football, the Atlantic Coast Conference, Notre Dame ended up with a vote that counted towards expansion. Notre Dame lobbied for the addition of Stanford and Cal. They were able to talk those other 7 schools, Duke, Syracuse, Louisville, Boston College, Pitt, Georgia Tech, and Wake Forest, into voting for it. But then there was one more thing that happened. NC State changed their vote at the last minute to approve the expansion, which meant that FSU, Clemson, North Carolina, Miami, Virginia Tech said no. Now, where does that leave us now? It leaves us, the current state of the Atlantic Coast Conference, this way. Florida State has a lawsuit against the ACC. Clemson has a lawsuit against the ACC. North Carolina does not yet have a lawsuit against the ACC, but North Carolina voted against adding Stanford, Cal, and SMU. Miami has basically kept relatively quiet on the situation. They have not been very vocal. The thought is that Miami is one of the top 3 brands that would catch an invite from somewhere if the ACC dissolved. The thought is that Miami is playing quiet because Miami is okay if they stay in the ACC, but also is more than happy to hear out invitation offers from the Big Ten and from the Southeastern Conference. So Miami right now largely just kind of hanging out. The question marks are Virginia, Virginia Tech, and NC State. NC State, again, NC State voted to approve the ACC expansion or manipulate it in a way that it happened. Because of that, there is a belief right now that NC State does not think that there is a home for them elsewhere should the ACC dissolve. Now, there is the possibility, and this is why this whole thing gets a little wonky sometimes. It gets a little wonky sometimes because we do not know which state governments may get involved with their state institutions and how those state institutions will get involved. Coming up here in just a little while, I'm going to tell you a very interesting story about a college football player who left his home state to go play for a school, then left that school to go back to his home state for their school, but then was there 2 months and then left that school to go back to the original school the first time. And oh, by the way, when he was back at the home school for 2 months, he accepted a lot of NIL money, and then he just left. And there's a lot of people who are looking at 2 states right now and are saying, this is your fault because those state governments are getting involved. So I am intrigued by how these state governments, state entities might get involved.
What's up, Diesel?
Is there a possibility somewhere for a Virginia or a Virginia Tech to have their state legislature say, if you're going to go anywhere, you got to take little brother with you? Would the North Carolina state government tell UNC, hey, if you're going to go anywhere, you got to take Duke with you. You got to take NC State with you. All 3 of you have to survive as an entity. I'm going to be real honest with you. I'm not an expert on this. I don't know how, or frankly, even if those three schools are considered tied together by the North Carolina State Legislature. I don't know if they would be obligated. I don't know if they'd be allowed to split. I don't know how that whole thing would work. But if it does go down that way, if that is a direction that it goes, that changes the whole game as well. We got to find out what's going to happen with these lawsuits. There's a lot of people that are projecting. I had somebody yesterday DM me a graphic that showed the new Big 20 conference. They consider the Big 20, and that would be if the Big 12 as it stands ended up with Duke, Miami, North Carolina in there. And they formed 4 5-team divisions with 20 teams. Like I said, I don't know. That honestly, if that turns out to be, if the, let's say, North Carolina State Legislature says that North Carolina State, North Carolina, and Duke all have to go with each other, that becomes a distinct possibility.
Didn't you say probably a few months ago that it was 2 conferences, the SEC, the Big Ten, and the Everybody Else Conference?
Everybody Else Conference. And the EEC, the Everybody Else Conference, which I have been talking about for years now, was an inevitability. It's like Thanos, man. It's inevitable. The EEC is going to be the Big 12, whatever the Big 12 becomes, because the ACC is a dying corpse right now. The death rattle is real. And the death rattle just got louder with the lawsuit that Clemson filed. So the EEC is going to be whoever is remaining from the carcass of the ACC, along with the teams that are currently in right now, and then anybody else from the mid-major conferences that elevates into the next level and catches the invite. I don't know who the hell that's going to be. But that's the inevitable future of all of this. And it makes sense at this point. It makes sense why all of the sudden, at least 2, I think there will be a third sometime in the near future in North Carolina, are willing to go to court now. Because they have got to be protecting their interest today. Even if they can't make the move until 2020 or 2036, pardon me, even if they can't make the move till 2036, they need to be working on it now because everything is at stake. Let's take a break. We'll come back. You know what? I've had a couple of people ask about it. I will tell you about that transfer story when we come back because it is fascinating. And some of you are going to get real mad about it. So we'll do that next. The Rob Brown Show rolls on after this. It is the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, I got a live endorsement. I'll be right back. Y'all stay right there. right, y'all. We're back. Thanks for hanging in there, man. Great to have you.
Thank you for the cash back on my groceries.
No problem. Discover Cashback Debit gives everyone cash back. Anything else I can help with?
Do you like asparagus sorbet?
Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashback debit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
Pluto TV won't cost you a thing because everything is free. So if you want to watch Braveheart, Mean Girls, or The Price is Right, well, The Price is Right. It's free. Just download the app, which, by the way, is also free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
Spring training is here, and the free Odyssey app has everything you need to get ready for opening day. In-depth team coverage from the biggest sports radio stations across the country, exclusive interviews with players, managers, and MLB insiders, and podcasts dedicated to your favorite team. Listen live to the latest breaking news from around the league, or choose from a list of topics and listen on demand. It's all on the free Odyssey app. Download it today. AUDACY.
Today, mostly sunny, pleasant, and warm, high of 73.
Weather brought to you by Robert Half.
9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring today. Robert Half is here to help.
At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit Robert Half.
15 seconds.
Today.
10, 4.
Jeff Martin Auctioneers. Jeff Martin Auctioneers presents the East Coast Construction and Transportation Public Auction in Pelzer on Thursday, March 28th. Bid your way live on site or online. JeffMartinAuctioneers.com. Experience the difference. License 4283.
Don't even check the clock. Wednesday mornings from 6 to 10.
The Rob Brown Show carries on. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob and Brandon with you here on a Wednesday AM. Let's get to this story real quick because it is making the rounds and kind of interesting. Caden Proctor is an offensive lineman. You'll notice I didn't continue with for the blanks or the blanks or whatever. There's a reason for that. It is because of, well, it's because of this story. The Caden Proctor era in Iowa is over after 2 months. What do you mean by that, Rob? Glad you asked. When Caden Proctor grew up and came out of Iowa, he was a 5-star recruit. And Caden Proctor was thought to be destined for his Iowa Hawkeyes and Kirk Ferentz. And then, because recruiting is absolutely now not just a national game, but an international game, Caden Proctor ended up at the University of Alabama. He spent some time playing for the University of Alabama, dressed out, played for the University of Alabama. And at the end of last season, the 6'7", 360-pound mammoth of a human being decided, you know what? There's no place like home. There's no place like them. There's no place like home. And he was going to return back to the Iowa Hawkeyes, who he left behind for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So he took himself from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. He hopped on and I mean it, big old jet airliner that carried him from Tuscaloosa back home to Iowa City, Iowa. And he got there, and he got his gear, and he enrolled, and he got ready for spring practices. And then, as so many college kids do, Caden decided it's spring break. I want to go P-A-R-T-Y because I gotta. And so he went on spring break with several former Alabama teammates. And then he came home to Iowa. And I assume he sat down and he thought about, and I'm going to tell y'all right now, the Gulf Coast, whether it is Alabama or the Florida Panhandle or wherever else, The Florida Gulf Coast, the Alabama Gulf Coast, if you can't leave the country, is the best place to spring break. You got Pensacola, Destin, Niceville, Panama City Beach, a place that I made many poor decisions at Caden Proctor's age. You got Mobile. It's a beautiful, beautiful spring break area. So he went, he had some fun. He spent some time with the boys from the Tide, and then he got back and decided, you know what? There's no place like not home. There's no place like not home. There's no place like not home. And he is going to transfer back to the University of Alabama, where he transferred away from in the first place. Now, Caden Proctor cannot enter the transfer portal until April 15th, but due to a recent decision by the NCAA in response to the lawsuits filed by Tennessee and Virginia in a story that we told you about earlier this week, the NCAA has decided that they are going to temporarily lift the playing restriction on multi-transfer athletes. That is to say, if you have transferred multiple times, I don't know why I said it like that. If you transferred, because I'm talking about Alabama. If you done transferred multiple times, you can play, and you can play immediately. This has not always been the case for a multi-transfer student. You did used to, in days gone by until this week, you could transfer multiple times. But if you transferred a second time, unless you got a waiver for it, you did have to sit. So in that case, under those rules, this young man would have gone back to Alabama. He'd have had to sit out a year. But because he is playing in 2024 times, he was eligible to play as of today for either Alabama or the Iowa Hawkeyes. This is very, very interesting for a couple of reasons. Number one, Proctor was one of many Alabama players to look elsewhere following the surprise retirement of Nick Saban. No problem there. He gets back to Iowa. It has caused the program to self-report a level 3 violation to the NCAA after telling reporters that Iowa recruiting director Tyler Barnes texted Caden Proctor amid some early season struggles. He also reportedly received some NIL money through the Swarm Collective for a social media post about a car dealership. So basically, my dude leaves Bama. He goes back to Iowa. He gets some money from the NIL Collective. He gets some money from a local car dealership to do a social media post about them. He gets that money and then going back to Tuscaloosa, baby. Heading on back to the Tide. Roll Tide. He already got paid that NIL money. They gave it to him. It's already his. So there's a lot of people up in arms this morning on Reddit and social media boards. Here it is. This is what Nick Saban tried to warn us about. This is what Nick... Listen, just so we're clear, because I was one of the people, in fact, on one of the local message boards, I saw my name brought up yesterday as, hey, that idiot Rob Brown on the morning show was bashing on Saban. I wonder if tomorrow on his show, he's going to retract and apologize. The answer is no. I don't think I said anything I need to apologize for. A, and B, everything I said, I still stand on board for. Let me be very clear about this. If you are an NIL collective, just like these players have to take it on themselves, for instance, when they enter the transfer portal. How many players every year? There's hundreds, if not thousands of guys who hit the portal looking for the next big thing, only to have the end of the portal roll around and realize, nobody wants me. There's no spots for me anywhere. Whatever am I to do? And the answer is, not play football anymore, I guess. Sucks to be you, dude. Should have thought about that, right? With adult opportunity comes adult consequences. I would make the same argument for the NIL collectives. If you jump at a guy, Florida State just learned this lesson the hard way, didn't they? If you jump at a guy and you go, hey, if you come to our school and you come play ball for us, we're going to make sure you get an X $1,000 NIL deal. All we need you to do is throw up a social media post about Bob's used cars, and we're going to get you $25K for it. Well, you better do your due diligence. You better make sure that is legit, because like with anything else, if you make a bad deal, you know who has to live with the consequences? You do. You do. And college kids are notoriously dumb, but very manipulative. Again, I used to be one a long time ago.
What's that saying? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
That's it. So you had this kid who leaves Tuscaloosa to come back home, to come back to Iowa, a school, by the way, that he grew up a fan of. And he comes back to Iowa, and you just immediately, because the 6'7", 360-pound offensive lineman simply steps foot on your campus, your immediate reaction is, let's throw lots of money at this guy. Let's, without really vetting him out, without him strapping on a helmet, without him lacing up the cleats, without him trying on a pair of shoulder pads, without him wearing the black and athletic yellow, not one time at a football game. Let's throw a few grr at him. Let's throw a few grand at. What's the worst that happens if we throw a few grand at this kid? Well, the worst that happens is he shows up, he gets a bag, and then he goes back to Alabama. Now, I get it. I don't know about you guys, but and this may shock some of you, I've made mistakes before. Like 6 throughout the course of my entire life. I've made 6 mistakes. But I think all of us have lost something via mistake that we wish we could get back. Whether it's a relationship or a job or some materialistic thing that we love, whatever the case might be, we have all lost a thing that we wish we could get back. This kid was in an opportunity to get it back. He left Tuscaloosa. He was going to go home. He was going to be the conquering hero, the hometown kid who make his triumphant return and helped Iowa, a team that, depending on who you ask, might be on the verge of being good next year? Question mark, he asked, very skeptically. But with a kid like him at the helm, they'd certainly be a lot closer to good than they were without him at the helm. But he gets there, and then he goes on spring break, and he goes down to Alabama, and he hangs out with his buddies, because this may shock you. A lot of guys on a football team together, they become friends. So he comes up to Iowa, a place that, he's probably knows some guys on the team that he played high school ball with that are now Hawkeyes. But he was in the trenches with the boys at Alabama. He was in the trenches with the T-Town kids. So he goes back to Tuscaloosa for spring break, and he goes, I miss you guys so much. And then the NCAA says, hey, if you transfer schools a second time, we changed our minds. We are going to allow you to play football next year. Which means that this kid can now go back to Tuscaloosa. He can go back with his buddies. He can go back with his brothers in arms, his comrades, and his friends. And he can immediately play football again. I can understand the decision. I don't think he did this maliciously. I don't think he did this with any intent of screwing the Hawkeyes or screwing the boosters or screwing the Swarm Collective. I think when he went back to Iowa, he went back to Iowa with the understanding. I don't know why I said it like the lead singer of Creed. Iowa. I think when he went back to Iowa, he went back to Iowa with the understanding that once I'm here, I'm here. If I leave T-Town, if I leave Tuscaloosa, I'm a Hawkeye, and I have to stay there. And then he got there, and the NCAA went, yeah, you don't have to stay there. And then he went, oh, I miss my friends. I'm going to go back. I understand that. I don't think he did it to screw Iowa. Did Iowa get screwed? Absolutely. Because on top of the fact that they gave him money, that is also collective money that they can't give to somebody else. Like, I don't know, Caitlin Clark or anybody else that's a Hawkeye on the football program. They can't give that money now to anybody else. So he did screw them. I don't think he did it on purpose. But here's the thing. Everybody is beating up on this kid. Oh, it's ruining college football. Caden Proctor and the Hawkeye. Guys, this is not on Caden Proctor. This is on a couple of entities. This is on the NCAA for not putting anything into the process at the beginning to prevent this. This is on the state of Tennessee, a state that was pushed by its universities to bring lawsuits forward against the NCAA to restrict enforcement of guidelines that were in play. It is the fault of the NCAA for bending over to not get hammered by the lawsuits by the state of Tennessee and the state of Virginia and their attorneys generals. And in bending over backwards to avoid those lawsuits, taking out the NCAA regulation that said if you transfer twice, you can't play. A regulation that, if it remained in place, I would 100% firmly believe would have meant Caden Proctor stayed a Iowa Hawkeye. And, yeah, they got screwed. But, hey, Swarm Collective, it's kind of on you. It's kind of on you because you decided, hey, here's a 20-year-old kid, 19-year-old kid, however old he is. And, I got to tell you, I think we are justified. I think it would make perfect sense for us to hand over a bag of money to a teenager with no real deal in place other than, hey, say something nice on Twitter for us. You did not wait till this game. You know how you could have fixed this? Wait till he played.
Yep.
Wait till he played. Wait till he put on a helmet. Wait till the transfer portal window closed and he couldn't go anywhere. Wait until he was officially locked in. And by the way, this is what collectives are going to start doing now. They're going to, for sure, put out there, hey, these are the type of deals that we can get for you. But I would not be surprised from this point forward to start seeing collectives saying you will earn your first NIL collective check once you are still on the roster at the conclusion of the transfer portal. Once you are locked in on the roster. For lesser talented guys that aren't five-star recruits like Caden Proctor, it's going to be you'll earn the bag after you play a game. After you're on the team, after you're on the football field. That's when you'll earn the bag. I also think you are going to see, and I'll tell you who is really, I think, going to take the hammer here, is NIL collectives themselves. Because let's call it what it is. If you're Bob's Used Cars and you gave a bag to the NIL collective to get to Caden Proctor to cut a promo about you on Twitter or on Facebook or whatever, if you gave that guy the bag and he bounced to go back to Tuscaloosa, what are the odds that you're giving that collective the bag to give to a player who just transferred in at some point in the future? Probably, I don't know, I'm guessing here, spitballing, about, 0%? Probably about 0% would be the odds you're going to do that again. So if you're an NIL collective, now all of a sudden it's going to be real hard for you to get a message out to those recruits that, hey, if you come here, Bob's Used Cars pays $10,000 to social media posts from star players. Because you're not about to get burnt again. This story's wild, dude. I love it. Hey, Caden Proctor got the bag. If you didn't want him to get the bag, Get mad at the NCAA. Get mad at the state attorneys general of Tennessee and Virginia. Get mad at Iowa and the swarm. Why are we mad at the kid? Because the kid looked and said, yo, the system, I can game it, and then did that? Nah, we good. Take a break. Hayden Ask Mario joins us on the backside of the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, we're going to step away and get Mario lined up. We will be right back. Mario, unmute and turn your camera on, broski. Let's see those beautiful locks. There he is.
What's up? How we doing?
Thank you.
Is it the route one?
Oh, it's the same. Mario, talk.
Testing 1 2 1
There he
2 1
is.
2.
What's up, fella?
Nothing much, man. What's up with you?
Oh, hanging out, buddy. Doing a show. We're gonna bump this right up to the top of the hour since I went long in that segment.
Okay.
You ain't got nothing better to do you, Mario?
So we'll go right to 9 o'clock. Okay, cool. Are we doing the sports flash?
Yeah.
Okay.
Normal break.
Awesome.
Do we think Iowa State can make it to the Elite Eight?
Turn the queue up if you don't mind. Say that again, dude.
Do you think Iowa State can make the Elite Eight?
No.
Let's see. Iowa State.
No.
Let me look at where they are in the bracket. I don't have the bracket memorized.
They're in the same region as UConn, so they had to beat San Diego State. Then they'd have Washington State or Drake. I don't know if they can beat Illinois. Screw it. I'll go Illinois.
15 seconds.
All right, final segment of the third hour, and we are going to be we're going to be shifting this young man around because he keeps telling me that he's busy or something. He's been joining us on Fridays when he's not busy or something. He joins us today. He is a NBA expert and analyst from the BetQL Network. He is the executive producer of Bet for the Cycle, which airs every Saturday from noon to 4. He's the producer. He screams at us with great regularity. He is hating-ass Mario Herron here on the show. What's up, fella?
Rob, I'm living the dream on a Wednesday morning. It is fantastic to see you. I had a bloody nose this morning, so I felt like that might be a little good luck for the day. So I think we're starting on a good note, but good to see you.
Good to see you, pal. Glad to have you. Let's jump in. I'm tired, Mario.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of the lack of respect for our New Orleans Pelicans. Am I homering right now? You're damn right I am. But when they are throwing oops to Z where his head's hitting the top of the backboard and doing it with regularity, and oh, by the way, maybe the best defensive team in the NBA right now, I want you to finally say it officially and on the record, the Pelicans are good. Say it!
They're good. Since post All-Star break, their second in defensive rating, their second in net rating. And if I was them, Rob, I would try to make sure that I do not move up from 5. I do not go below 5. I would sit right at 5 because I'd be smiling and licking my chops to get the Clippers in the first round of playoffs that are going to be injury prone, that probably won't have one of their best players in Kawhi, Paul George, or James Harden, maybe not even Westbrook, who we are finding out that's pretty big for them. I am starting to buy a little bit into the Pelicans. I like how Zion stepped up defensively. I think he went from like averaging 0.5 blocks pre-All-Star to like 1.9 or something, like post-All-Star, I think it was. That is huge for him. I'll buy it. They're a second-round playoff team. The second rounds where things get a little dicey, but I'll give you your props. I'll give you the flowers. Happy St. Patty's.
That's all I wanted.
That's what it is.
All I wanted. All right, let's take a look down at the bottom of the West, and we don't have to spend a ton of time on it. The Lakers and the Warriors, that was our Parlay v. Parlay challenge game last week. Once again, Deck and I get screwed because we're nailing picks, and Anthony Davis has got to leave the game with an injured eyeball. I swear to you, we have been the unluckiest dudes on planet Earth the last couple of weeks. But Lakers, Warriors, they're split up by a single game. Both of them fighting for, right now, the last play-in spot. A, can the Dubs do anything to catch LA? And B, does it matter if they do?
I don't think so. Like they could, but does it really like essentially matter? Like those bottom 4 teams, like it's a lot can change, yes, but will a lot of stuff really change? Like Rockets aren't going to get up there and like take out the Warriors and take their spot. Like that's not going to happen. The Mavericks, yeah, do they want to take that from the Kings? Yes. Is that going to happen? I don't really know. I think they're kind of stuck in that 7th spot as well. I just look at those bottom 4 that are going into the playoffs, and I look at it as the reverse of I look at the top 3 that we have like this race of Thunder, Nuggets, and Timberwolves, so it's number 1 seed. I look at that and go, Timberwolves lost last night to the Nuggets. They dropped down to the 3 seed. If I was anyone in those 3 organizations, Thunder, Nuggets, Timberwolves, I would say we're gonna chill at the 3rd spot. We're gonna chill right there. I want the Kings first round. I do not want to face Luka in the first round. I don't want to face Durant and Booker in the first round. I don't want LeBron and AD in the first round. I don't want Steph in the first round. I rather not face any of those 4 teams. I'd rather face who's ever at 6, who's right now is the Kings, and I think it's going to stay the Kings the rest of the way. I think the 3rd spot right now in the Western Conference, Rob, is more valuable than the 1 seed. Because if you're the Thunder, who are a very, very young team who just did the play-in last year, and you jump into the 1 seed, hey, congratulations for being the best team in the West. Here's Luka and Kyrie to face in the first round. That's not a present. That's coal for Christmas. That's what that is. Like, that's a nightmare situation. I look at the whole thing, and my just whole idea of it is the 3rd spot is the new 1. 3 is the new 1.
3 is the new 1. Do you think here's an offshoot question to that?
Yeah.
Do you think we would see like an obvious attempt from any of these teams to maybe drop a game or two down the stretch to maintain a specific seed, right? Because I think we talk about this with NFL teams and the draft so-and-so's tanking, they're dropping games on purpose. Players swear it's never happening. Coaches swear it's never happening, but it seems to happen all the time. Do you think we would see, not for the draft, but for a playoff position, a team manipulating the record in order to try to get themselves a more favorable matchup in the first round of the playoffs?
I don't know if I would say it goes that far, but I would refer back to last year when we were going down this MVP race of Embiid versus Jokic, and the big ding on Jokic down that stretch was like the defense. Like, there was clips going around Twitter everywhere going, his defense is terrible. He's not even trying on this possession. He's just letting guys blow by him and just trying to get the rebound. And you saw like the lack of effort by him, and people were just absolutely ruining him for it. And then, arguably you can say he lost the MVP because of it. I think we're going to see more of that, where if you're a team that knows, hey, we're got a nice playoff spot. Like, if you're going to face the Celtics down this last stretch, who's to say that when they face the Bulls on Saturday, that the Bulls are like, God, we really need to stay in this spot for the play-in, and the Celtics are like, we're what, 8, 11, no, the 10 games ahead of the Bucks. We don't really need to win this one. Yeah, then Jaylen Brown's going to probably take it a little bit easier and not slap the floor and play some great defense against DeMar DeRozan. Yeah, you're not going to see Tatum try to go for 50 points or take over the fourth quarter. Yeah, you're going to see those things because it's like, just why? Like, it just doesn't make sense. So I think you're going to see more of that. I don't think teams will be throwing games. But yeah, if you really think that Kawhi Leonard is going to go for a triple-double or James Harden's going to go for a triple-double down the stretch, I really don't think you're going to see that. I just think it's guys going to take a little games off. And watch out in those moments too. Watch out for these young rookies or, second-year guys that are still trying to find a name for themselves, and just like a quick betting angle. Look at those guys as props and stuff, because I guarantee you, like a Scoot Henderson, a guy like Jaime Jaquez even, like those guys are going to really try to go for it and really try to get their kind of points up and get their kind of little confidence up heading into next year. You saw that with Shannon Sharp last year at the Blazers. Like, I would expect to see that a little bit with the young guys, but definitely you're going to see some teams slide, some things take a break. I don't think Luka's going to go on this insane streak of triple doubles heading in. Like, I think these guys are going to ease off a little bit, get ready for the playoffs, because the playoffs are a nightmare.
Talk to me about the Phoenix Suns. Like, I can't figure this team out because there's days they look dominant. Devin Booker is my favorite player in the league that nobody talks about enough. Even Durant has been more of an all-around player lately than I thought, but they just keep giving games back. They're 10 games over 500, but it's like every time I go look at the standings, they're 5-5 in the last 10. They're 5-5 in the last 10. They're 6-4. They're 4-6. They're 5-5. What does this team need to do if they are going to catch Dallas, Sacramento, New Orleans, and try to get themselves into a better spot instead of hovering around that first play-in team line?
I think the first thing they need to do is they need to get someone that's going to go, hey, I got this on defense. Because right now they don't really have that. I look at when they faced the Bucks this past Sunday, Giannis goes out. And I already took the over in that game. And as soon as I saw Giannis goes out, I was screaming in my apartment. Because I was like, gosh darn it. Like, you got to be freaking kidding me. Late scratch. I thought the over was shot. But then I'm starting watching this game. And just defensively, they're lost, Rob. Like, they're lost. And in that game, you see Dame goes for 31 and 16. And he's dominating them. He's getting by everyone. He's getting to the paint very easy. They have no paint protection. Everyone. It's a party in there, Rob. Every team has a big party in the paint. Whoever wants to get in there, get your groove on. That's how it is facing the Phoenix Suns. They need defense. They need protection. And they also need consistency with their team. Like the Beal, Booker, I'm with you. I love Book. I think the way Booker played in the playoffs last year, I fell in love with him. I love Book. But him, Beal, and Durant, they just haven't played together. And the rhythm's not there. And you can see it in the offense. The rhythm's just not there. I think this is going to be another Durant team where we go, the talent was there. I would even say the coaching, Vogel's a good coach. The coaching was there, but you focus on too much on one side of the basketball and not too much on the other. And that's going to kill you in the West. And they're going to get killed for that.
Hayton asked Mario Herron from the BetQL Network joins us. We are working on solidifying a weekly time and date. Until then, we're just kind of making it up as we go. Just like Bet for the Cycle every Saturday from noon to 4 on the BetQL Network that he produces, and Cody and Decker and I ignore his instructions and do whatever we want. Man, got to cut it short. Sorry, bud, but glad you got in there. Glad we got to talk to you. We'll do it again next week, and we'll spend a little more time, my man.
Love you.
You're a legend. Legend. In his own mind. He is Mario Herron, expert on all things NBA for the BetQL Network. We have to run to a break. We're back after this with the final hour of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, bud. I'll see you. I appreciate it. And it's time for a sports flash here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Clemson has filed a lawsuit against the Atlantic Coast Conference. That went into a Pickens County courthouse yesterday. They argue in that lawsuit that the exit fees for the ACC are unenforceable and that the grant of rights agreement that would keep the ACC in possession of Clemson's broadcast rights, even if they leave the conference, are, quote, unconscionable. It is expected at some point that the ACC will fire back. Kansas will be without star player Kevin McCullough Jr. throughout the tournament, has a deep bone bruise, on his knee. The breakout star was averaging over 18, 6, and 4 before the injury. And PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan said he and player tour directors met with the governor of the Saudi Public Investment Fund in the Bahamas over the last few days. He said the conversations were, quote, constructive, but did not offer any further specifics. The final hour of the Rob Brown Show is next on the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, we'll be back in just a minute. Appreciate it. and gentlemen, the final hour of the Rob Brown radio program. It's on your radios. It is the Fan Upstate. Thanks again to Mario Herons. It's hating ass Mario from the BetQL Network who joins us to talk NBA shooty hoops once a week. He'll be back next week, and by next week, we should have a locked-in date and time. I want to remind you that on tomorrow's show, we will have a couple of guests that will be swinging by. Brandon Fricke is the captain of the Greenville Triumph this year. He'll be joining us to talk Triumph football. They are on the road tonight in Columbia in the opening round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open tournament. Looking forward to having him on. John Martin is a college basketball expert. He works for 92.9 The Game in Memphis, Tennessee. He is also a host of BetQLU on the BetQL Network. He will join us tomorrow to talk a little bit about the brackets and help you get them filled out. Hey, speaking of the brackets, if you would like to be a part of this year's Rob Brown Show Bracket Challenge, you have, as of right now, let's see, 1 day, 3 hours, and 6 minutes to get your bracket locked in, which means you have 1 day. Actually, I'm not even going to say 3 hours because I'm not going to lie. When the show's over tomorrow, Daddy's going home. He's sitting down on the couch in the bro cave. He is turning on the 75-inch, and he's not moving for like a while, okay? And by a while, I mean all damn day tomorrow. I would be locked in on tournament games from like 11 a.m. until they're over, basically. But if you want in on the Rob Brown Show Bracket Challenge, right now, this moment, go to your electronic device of choice, whether it's your laptop or your computer or your cell phone or whatever else. What I want you to do is open your email application. I want you to go to your, that little plus sign, you know, where you type the message in. Click that button. Click the new email button. I want you to type into the address field, rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. Then, in the subject line, I want you to type in Bracket Challenge Invitation. And then in the body of the message, I want you to type Rob Brown, you tall, sexy beast with great hair. I would like an invitation to your bracket challenge, please. And then you fire that email off to me, and I will instantly reply. If you do it during the show, instantly reply with an email back. And that email will have a link in it. And you click on that link, it's going to take you to the CBS Sports website where you will enter your bracket into our bracket challenge. Our reigning, defending, undisputed bracket challenge champion, Mike Venditti, a.k.a. Diddy, just got in. P1 Keegan just got in. Jared got in early. Kelly got in earlier. Susan got in earlier. I'm also going to tell you that the lady friend, the fiancé, has gotten involved because there's nothing she wants more in the world than to have her bracket beat mine. It's very frustrating. It's all she cares about. You go play? You in? Brandon? You filling out a bracket?
Well, ironically, I'm actually doing my bracket now on ESPN. So what the heck? Why
yes!
not? Why not?
Yes!
Yes! Yes! Yes!
So there you go. If you want in, you remember all that stuff I just said you had to type in. You don't have to do that. Okay. All I need you to do is pop off an email to rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. Ask for a link, an invitation to the bracket challenge, and I will email it over to you. And just like that, my dear friends, just like that, your bracket will be entered into the Rob Brown Show Challenge. Should you win this year's Rob Brown Show Bracket Challenge, should you get the dub here, You at that point, my friends, will win the opportunity above all the other members of the Armada to come on the show and host a segment with me. So whether you in the past have wanted to, prove your chops in the broadcasting industry, whether you just want to come on and call Rob Brown an idiot to his face, whatever the case might be, if you have ever before wanted the opportunity to host a show, now's your chance. Now's your time. Now's your opportunity to get in, my friends. Rob.Brown at thefanupstate.com. If you get the dub, you get to come on and host a segment with me. We can talk basketball, baseball, football, soccer, 1980s music and movies, whatever you want. I don't care. Let's have some fun, shall we? Rob.Brown at thefanupstate.com. Brackets lock in just under a day from right now. Let's go. Let's have some fun. All right. Let's get a couple more sports stories in here before we get in. Got a shout out to Mark. Mark just emailed and said, "You big sexy beast, send me that link." Mark, it is back in the email. Signed, the big sexy beast, which y'all might be mad at Mark because I might just start calling myself that from now on and forever. Hey, let's talk about filling out the brackets. Here's a fun thing, courtesy of Keith Lipscomb of ESPN. He has put together an interesting 68 fact list that you might want to know before you fill out your bracket. And this is very intriguing. In 11 out of the 12 tournaments, when the first four has existed, at least one of its participants has advanced to the second round. Twice, one of those has advanced to the Final Four. In 2021, UCLA moved to the Final Four. In 2011, VCU moved to the Final Four. 3 of the first 4 competition contestants have reached the Sweet 16. Last year was the first time that 2 first 4 participants reached the second round. 11 seed Pittsburgh did it, and 16 seed FDU did it. Not only has a number 15 seed won a first round game in 3 consecutive years for the first time, all 3 of them ended up going on to reach the Sweet 16. In 2023, Princeton did it. In 2022, the St. Peter's Peacocks did it. And in 2021, Oral Roberts University did it. St. Peter's took it a step further. They went to the Elite 8. Number 15 seeds are 11 and 141 in first round games. 9 of those 11 winners finished in the top 2 in their conference standings. This year, South Dakota State is the only 15 seed that finished top 2 in its conference. So if you're looking for a 15 seed to make a run, that one meets the qualifications. In the past 5 tournaments, 14 of the 20 matchups between the 4 and 13 seeds were decided by single digits, the most of any first round seed pairing. Surprisingly, only 7 of the 20 matchups between 8 and 9 seeds were single-digit games, and 13 seeds have won at least one game in 27 of 38 tournaments. So you probably need to pick a 13 seed somewhere. At least one top 4 seed has lost in the first round in 14 of the past 15 tournaments. Last year, there were 3 top 4 seeds ousted in their first game. Number 1, Purdue by FDU. Number 2, Arizona by Princeton. And number 4, Virginia by FU 1 time, FU 2 times, FU 3 times, FU all the time. The Furman Paladins, baby. At least one number 12 seed has defeated a number 5 seed in 32 of 38 tournaments. However, The trend of 5-12 upsets, is slowing down. 12 seeds failed to win a game 3 times in the first 30 years of the modern era. However, 12 seeds have come up empty in 3 of the past 8 tournaments, including last year when no 12-5 upsets took place. Number 3 seeds are 22-5 against 6 seeds. From 1985 to 2007, number 3s were 26-25 against number 6s. Since 2008, they're 22-5. You better roll heavy with the 3 seeds if you move them on. A double-digit seed has advanced to the Sweet 16 in 15 consecutive tournaments and 36 of 38 overall. Last year, 15-seeded Princeton was the only double-digit seed to reach the second weekend of play. 4 teams seeded 10th or worst reached the Sweet 16 in both 2021 and 2022. Number 11 seeds have played the Cinderella role well lately. At least one 11 seed has made the Sweet 16 in 7 of the past 9 tournaments. You know who that's bad news for? Both Clemson and South Carolina, who are 6 seeds with an 11 seed in round number 1. At least one 11 seed has made. Oh, wait, I got that one for you. Wait, there you go. There it is. Good call. Good call. Should have thought about that one. At least one 11 seed has made the Sweet 16 in 7 of the past 9. We have seen multiple 11 seeds make it to the second weekend in 5 of the past 12. 11 seeds were absent from last year's Sweet 16, however. The last time we had consecutive Sweet 16s without an 11 seed, 15 years ago. In the 68-team era, there have been just as many number 15 seeds to reach the Sweet 16 as number 12 seeds. All 4 number 2 seeds have reached the Sweet 16 just twice in the past 26 tournaments. So you better bump a 2 seed somewhere. All right, let's do this. I like these numbers. These are fun to me. I'm a giant dork. I like these. Joey B said, my inability to pick games is the only thing separating me from forcing everyone to listen to me talk about Japanese wrestling for a segment. Takeshita! All right. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll take a look at some more of these trends and numbers as you get ready to fill out your bracket. Again, if you would like in on the 2024 Rob Brown Show Tournament Bracket Challenge, shoot me an email right now at rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. Wayne writes the show, said, Rob, you big sexy beast. I would like the link for the bracket challenge. Don't you worry about it. It's in the email right now, big dog. Rob.brown@thefanupstate.com if you want an invite link to the Big Sexy Beast bracket contest right here on the Fan Upstate. If Joey B wins this thing, I feel like we're getting a spare Fight Club segment. And I'm good with it.
I just submitted my bracket for you.
Nice. Filled it out quick.
Yeah. The most intriguing matchup to me is always the 5-12. It's always been my
Did I pick a 5-12 in the top?
my ooh la la,
There's a 5. I did pick a 5-12 upset in the first round.
I have Kansas bouncing in the second round because they don't have their all-star center. He's out for the whole tourney. I do have McNeese, Joey. I have McNeese State advancing.
Clemson's going to beat New Mexico. The leadership, Joe Girard, PJ Hall, the inside-outside star combination is going to be too much. And South Carolina is going to suffocate Oregon with that defense. Gamecocks have 3 top 25 wins, including Kentucky, Tennessee, and Florida. Oregon just has 1. They got hot at the end of the year. That team is not beating Lamont Harrison's Bucks and put up for a bonus. College Charleston could upset Alabama as well. I'm Mark Ryan.
Offsides with Mark Ryan, 3 to 7 p.m. today on The Fan. Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and on the Odyssey app.
Ingalls Markets is proud to sponsor the Mark Ryan Sports Spin. From the playing fields to the stands to your own living room, Ingalls Markets has everything you need to fuel your athlete and satisfy all the hungry fans in your life. Ingalls, low prices, love the savings.
You all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids, no matter where you are.
I have 2 5-12 upsets.
Oh, yeah.
569.86.
An orange Final Four, just all the orange teams.
Some people actually pick their team, their winners in the bracket based off of their uniforms, if they look cool or not.
With the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at tra.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hi, this is Mark Ryan with Offsides. We'll be live today from 3 till 7 at Ingalls Markets at 8004 Warren H. Abernathy Highway in Spartanburg. Stop by and say hi. We'll also be giving away a $25 Ingalls gift card.
30 seconds.
Starting March 18th for 3 days only, shop limited time doorbusters during Lowe's MVP's bonus days. Buy 1 Metabo HPT 15-degree roofing nailer. Get 1 box of Metabo HPT 1 1/4-inch collated roofing nails free, a $49.98 value. Plus, save $39 on a Little Giant A4 6-foot 300-pound stepladder. Shop these deals and more while supplies last. Lowe's knows pros. Valid 3/18 through 3/20.
Come back.
I got to tell you, man, I'm filling out the bracket right now, and I am having a real tough time not taking Tennessee out of the Midwest bracket. Like a real, I am looking for the spot to bounce Tennessee. I'm looking for the spot.
I
to
had
bounce
them
Tennessee.
going to the Final Four.
I want to do it, but Rick Barnes historically falls apart in the tournament.
I get that. However, this Tennessee team is built differently for a Rick Barnes team. And I'm not just saying that because my family, with my mother's side, is all Tennessee people. It just seems something seems different about Tennessee.
Dalton Connect. That's it. Dalton Connect is what seems different. Like Rick Barnes has been waiting for a Dalton Connect at Tennessee, and this guy popped up and he's got the guy. And the Volunteers are very impressive, but like they're 191st in field goal percentage. They're 168th in 3-point percentage. The best thing they got going for them is they're in the top 65 in free throw percentage. That's it. Like there's nothing that blows me away about Tennessee not named Dalton Connect, who, by the way, I love watching play. Like I am absolutely rooting for Dalton Connect, but I'm looking for a spot for Tennessee to get bounced. And I hate to say it, but I'm going to tell you who I'm looking at right now that I'm just because of their relative offensive efficiency. One of the two teams is either going to be Purdue, because I look at Purdue very much the same way in the Big Ten tournament that I looked at Clemson in the ACC tournament. They didn't really have anything to gain, right? Like, the only thing Purdue was going to lose was the overall number 1 seed to UConn, which they did. And that had as much to do with the incredible streak of no L's that UConn went on. But all they had to lose was the number 1 overall seed. But here's the thing. They caught a 1 seed. What bracket are they in? The Midwest. Where's Purdue? The Midwest. Like, they ended up in a great spot. They ended up in their home bracket. Problem I have is a lot of Purdue games this year. I like Zach Edey. I like him a lot. National Player of the Year for a reason. But I think Zach Edey has also been getting the benefit of the whistle most of the season. And you're not going to get that in the tournament. You're just not. So if that's the case, like, here's where I got shocks coming out of that bracket. I got McNeese State over Gonzaga.
I have them too.
I'm taking Samford over Kansas.
Ooh, I
That's
have
a 13-4.
Kansas winning, but I have Kansas only winning. And you and I were talking about this at the break. Kansas doesn't have their all-star center.
They don't have like 5 dudes.
Yeah, they're all out. And so I think Kansas wins. They win by like a close margin, but I don't see them going past the second round. I think McNeese State actually beats Kansas. I had them playing not Purdue, Utah State. Because Utah State has shown me signs that they can go far in this tournament.
Utah State's good.
Yeah.
Purdue's going to beat them up.
I don't know.
Purdue's going to beat them up. There's just too much size, too much ability to score from the mid-range. The team out of that group that scares me actually is McNeese, and it's McNeese because of exactly what Joey B said earlier. It's Will Wade. Will Wade is, if you just take into consideration on the court stuff and you ignore all the issues he got into down when he was at LSU, Will Wade is one of probably the best 10 basketball coaches in college basketball right now. And Kansas being as beat up as they are, I think Will Wade has this McNeese team in a spot with the Momo behind him that they can steal a double away from Kansas. And here's fun. If I'm right about these two, not Will Wade, Samford right now with the Chor, without the big man in the middle, a Chor, who I watched beat up on Furman.
I saw that too.
Run through the chest of the Dins at home. A Chor at home can, without Kansas having a legitimate 5, he could put down 27 in that game and win that game for Samford. So I'll go with the SoCon upset there, but then he runs into Will Wade and McNeese as a 12 seed. I've got a 12-13 matchup in the second round, and I got the 12 seed McNeese State rolling on because I think Will Wade can coach around that with the players that he's got and the momentum that McNeese has. I don't think either one of those teams has the gas, even if Zach Edey's not getting the calls. I don't think either one of them has the gas. Now, I'll tell you what I'd love to see. I'd love to see a Chor versus Will versus Zach. That'd be a fun matchup to watch.
7'4" versus what, 6'9", 6'10"?
But I think McNeese is a little bit better. So I got a 112 matchup there, which moves Purdue on. And then I'm looking. So the bottom half of that bracket into the Elite Eight comes South Carolina, Oregon, Creighton, Akron, Texas, Colorado State, Tennessee, or St. Peter's. Right now, and I'm not locked in yet. All right, got a day left to go. I'm not locked in yet, but I got Tennessee over St. Peter's.
Yeah.
I got Colorado State over Texas, a 10-7 upset.
I had Texas actually doing that one.
I've got Creighton over Akron.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, I think the Gamecocks are a better team.
Really?
But
I think Creighton beats them.
I might take I'm not sure South Carolina's in the second round yet.
Ooh.
I'm not sure South Carolina's getting by Oregon, to be honest with you. It is going to take South Carolina. As we've said, sometimes the game is simple, right? I was playing golf this past weekend, was hitting the ball like crap off the tee box. And I told a buddy of mine, I was like, I'm overthinking it. Sometimes it's simple. Rear back, hit the golf ball. Sometimes it's simple. For me, if South Carolina knocks the ball down, knocks down shots, they win this game. But there's been just one too many games in the last 2 weeks where the shots weren't falling for the Gamecocks. And if the shots aren't falling for the Gamecocks, Oregon is a very athletic team. It's a team that can get up and down the field. Let me put it this way. Oregon shoots at a higher percentage from the floor. Oregon shoots at a higher percentage from 3. Oregon shoots at a higher percentage from the line. And on top of that, their net ratings are comparable. South Carolina 51st, Oregon 59th. The only spot that gives me pause is that Oregon is 1-3 versus top 25 teams. South Carolina's 3-4.
No, when South Carolina loses, they lose.
And again, if this thing turns, I would like to say about South Carolina that if a game turns into a track meet, they have the advantage. But Auburn's already proven that's not necessarily the case. I don't think South Carolina wants this game to turn into a track meet. I don't think the problem with the track meet, though, is ordinarily in a track meet, you're getting a lot of threes. You're getting a lot of offenses predicated around the 3. And if the shot's not falling for the Gamecocks, I get real concerned about that.
And Oregon, you'll know within the first 5 minutes too of game time what the outcome will most likely be between those two. If South Carolina says, "Okay, we're cold as can be, we're ice cold," it's done. There's no hope.
The problem is I got to lock my damn bracket in before that. That's the problem. I honestly, I hate to say it. And for the record, on the other side, Clemson, New Mexico, I feel the same way. It's a coin flip.
I have New Mexico winning.
A lot of people do. Let's see. Clemson, New Mexico right now. The public is 56% Clemson, 44% New Mexico, according to CBS Sports. South Carolina, Oregon. The public is 54% South Carolina, 46% Oregon right now.
Oof.
So almost a coin flip.
Yeah.
Right?
Who's your highest, the lowest seed that you have advancing to the Elite Eight? Who is the lowest you have?
If I submit right now, Oregon.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have McNeese going?
Nope. I got McNeese getting bounced by Purdue.
I have Utah State beating McNeese.
I got Oregon. I got right now. Again, I'm not locked in. I'm going to be, for the record, today, this afternoon, I'll be filling in on You Better You Bet on the BetQL Network with my guy, PJ Glasser. And we're going to be obviously doing a bunch of tournament talk on the BetQL Network today from 3 to 7. I'm not locking in until after I do this show with PJ because I'm not convinced. I have got my seeds in the Sweet 16. I got 8 Nebraska and 4 Duke, 1 UConn and 4 Auburn, 3 Illinois, 2 Iowa State. I'm going to tell you right now, NC State's going to be a problem for somebody because NC State is a super physical team. And you saw that behind DJ Horn in the last game. My man's getting 17 a game. They're just going to play inside-out basketball. NC State is going to slow any game they get into down to a crawl. They will get Kentucky in the second round. Do we trust John Calipari? Do we trust Kentucky in the second round? Or are they really who everybody has been trying to tell me they're becoming? Because I think NC State can slow that game down and turn that into an absolute slugfest. And if they do, that one's going to be fun.
I have Texas Tech winning, but I would be surprised if Texas Tech only wins by 2. That's how close of a game that I feel that those two are going to be.
That game's going to be it. That's a good 6-11 matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be. That's definitely one of the ones to watch. My first round, one of my big first round upsets, and I even told this to Mark the other day is I think the winner of the Boise Colorado game upsets Florida because Florida has again shows that signs of greatness, but then if they miss 1 or 2 steps, it's what in the world's going on, and they flunder, and you're just like, oh yeah, that's it. You knew exactly what was going to happen.
I really like Florida. I do wonder how much the loss of the big man hurts them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you're weaker off the glass now than you were before.
Mm-hmm.
I like Florida. I like this team. I love what Todd Golden is doing for Florida right now. I got them winning the winner. I got them beating the winner of the Boise Colorado game. But I got them getting bounced in the second round by Marquette.
Yep, I have Marquette going that way. My other surprise, I have Duquesne beating BYU.
Why do you believe in Duquesne so much?
Well, also, I hate BYU. I've never liked them.
I mean, that's fair.
However, BYU lives and dies by that 3-point line. And if they start out very cold in the 3-point line, Duquesne's got something to prove. They haven't been here in 47 years. They've got something to prove, and I feel they're going to prove their worth, that They should have been here all along. And and do I think it's gonna be a blowout? No, I think Duquesne wins like by 3, like a 70-67 kind of game. I just don't see BYU giving me the satisfaction it did a few years ago when they made it to the Elite Eight. I just don't see it with them.
I don't know. I can't see it. I can't. Duquesne is 24-11 out of the Atlantic 10. They are 6-4 in their last 10. They are ranked in offense efficiency like 241st. Like even if the best thing Duquesne can have going for them is BYU stinks from behind the arc in this game.
Yep.
Right. Very, very, very Carolina-ish in that regard, in that if the Brown thing's not finding the bottom of the round thing, BYU is screwed with a capital SKR. They've shown me no. First off, it doesn't matter because Illinois is going to beat whoever comes out of that game.
So that's actually my next one I want to say. I do have Illinois beating Morehead State. However, it's not going to be a cakewalk for Illinois over Morehead State. I'm thinking like a 5-point kind of finish, and it could really go either way with Morehead State and Illinois. That's how I feel. I don't think these small schools are the one and dones anymore. I mean, we've seen time and time again, these lower seeds are starting to show they can play with the big boys and they can hang with the big boys. And I would love to see a 14 seed knock off Illinois because it is Illinois, but I think Illinois only wins by like 5 points. I do have them beating Duquesne. I had them losing badly to Iowa State, though. I have Iowa State stomping on them.
All right, let's go back and take a look at some more of these numbers that we were talking about a minute ago. As far as the Final Four goes, there were 0 number 1 seeds in last year's Final Four, ending a streak of 10 straight tourneys with at least one of them. Either 1 or 2 number 1 seeds have reached the Final Four in 30 of 38 tournaments. Only once have all 4 number 1 seeds made the Final Four. It was 2008 when that happened. At least one team seeded 7th or worse has reached the Final Four in 9 out of the last 10 tournaments. So, does anybody have a seed that is 7 or worse in their bracket right now? My bracket, again, not submitted, got a lot more thinking to do, but my Final Four right now, without revealing who they are a 4 seed, a 2 seed, a 4 seed, and a 1 seed.
I got 1, 1, 2, 2.
Going chalk, almost exclusively chalk. Each of the past 13 tournaments has it had at least one team seeded number 4 or worse reach the Final Four. It has been 32 long years since a number 6 seed made the Final Four, by far the longest drought among seeds that have a Final Four appearance. In all, 3 6 seeds have reached the Final Four. 1992 Michigan, 1988 Kansas, and 1987 Providence. Bad news for Iowa State. Of the 36 teams that were seeded in the top 2 and in the AP top 10 after entering the season unranked, none of them have reached the Final Four. Both teams that fit this criteria last season lost during the first weekend. That was number 1 Purdue. Remember, they got upset to FDU in the first round. And number 2 Marquette, who lost to Michigan State in the second round. Iowa State received no votes in the preseason poll, but earned a number 2 seed and is ranked 4th. 15 of the 23 number 2 seeds to meet these criteria lost in the first or the second round. There has not been a repeat champion since the University of Florida did it back in 2007. Since then, here's the stat that blows my mind. Since the repeat by the mighty Gators of Florida back in 2007, only 4 of the 15 defending champions even reached the Sweet 16. Not lost in it, got there at all. 4 others missed the tournament altogether. Defending champions have lost in the first or second round in each of the past 6 tournaments, 3 of which were number 1 seeds, 23 Kansas, 22 Baylor, and 2017 Villanova. This is the 3rd straight year the defending champion is a number 1 seed. No team has ever won a national championship after losing its first game in the conference tournament. Who does that knock out? Tennessee, Creighton, Kentucky, Duke, Kansas, and Alabama are the highest seeded teams to lose their conference tournament opener this year. Since 2002, when Ken Palm began tracking it, 20 of the 21 national champions have finished top 25 in adjusted offensive and defensive efficiency. The only exception was 2014 at UConn, who were 10th on defense, but 39th on offense. UConn, Purdue, Arizona, Auburn, Houston, Creighton, Marquette, and North Carolina currently meet these criteria entering the tournament. Duke and Tennessee are very close to qualifying for that mark. They're just outside on one ranking or the other. 12 of the past 16 champions were 1 seeds, but it has been 11 years since the last time the overall number 1 seed won the tournament. That was back in 2013 when Louisville did it. 8 of the 19 previous overall number 1s lost in the Sweet 16 or earlier, including each of the past 2 years. Alabama last year, Gonzaga in 2022. They have been more likely to lose during the first weekend than to be champions. 4 of the reigning defending undisputed number 1 seed defending champions, 4 of them that bumped in the first weekend. 3 of them went on to be champions. This year's overall number 1 seed is obviously the defending champions, UConn. History stacked against them. A number 2 seed has reached the championship game just 1 time in the past 10 seasons. Villanova won in 2016 as a 2 seed. The current 6 tournament drought without a title game appearance is the longest ever. There has never been a matchup of 2 seeds in the championship game. No 5 seed has ever won a championship. The only seeding position in the top 8 that has never done it. Last year, a pair of 5 seeds made the Final Four in the same tournament for the first time. San Diego State became just the 4th number 5 seed to reach the title game, joining Butler in 2010, Indiana in 2022, and Florida in 2000. This year's number 5, San Diego State, St. Mary's, Wisconsin, and Gonzaga. It has been 34 years since a champion came from a conference that received fewer than 4 bids. UNLV in 1990 came out of the 3-bid Big West Conference. Louisville in 1986 came out of the 3-bid Metro Conference. They're the only schools in the modern era to do it. This year, Marquette, Creighton, and UConn all come out of the Big East. The Big East has only 3 bids. They're the highest seeded teams looking to end this streak. Both the WCC reps, Gonzaga and St. Mary's, are 5 seeds, which, again, as we mentioned just a moment ago, has never won a tournament. Very interesting. The ACC has had at least 1 team reach the Elite 8 in 34 out of 38 tournaments. They had multiple Sweet 16 teams in 32 of 38. At least 1 Final Four team in 26 of 38, at least 1 team in the title game in 18 of 38. And while this is the first time an ACC team earned a number 1 seed since 2019, the league has had 8 teams reach the Final Four in the past 8 seasons. The Big 12 has had a team reach the title game in 3 of the past 4 tournaments, including champions in 21 and 22, Baylor and Kansas. Conference teams are 21-5 in the first round of the past 4 tournaments, the best win percentage of any conference. Big 12 teams seeded 8th or worst, 5-1 in the first round in that span. The Big 10 has not had a national champion since the year 2000. Just 4 Big 10 teams have reached the Sweet 16 in the past 3 years. None have made the Final Four. Hello, Purdue. Let's see, what else? There were some more good numbers down here. I love this, man. It's been 27 years since the Pac-12 had a national champion. This is its last chance. Since 2016, none of the SEC teams to earn a top 4 seed have reached the Final Four. There have been 17 SEC teams to earn a top 4. None of them have reached the Final Four. The only 2 SEC teams to advance to the Final Four since 2016 were number 5 seed Auburn in 2019 and number 7 seed South Carolina in 2017. The last SEC team to reach the title game was the 8 seed Kentucky back in 2014. Tennessee, Kentucky, Auburn, and Alabama, all 4 are top 4 seeds this year. And the Southern Conference, last one, we'll take a break. The Southern Conference looking to win an NCAA tournament game in consecutive years for the first time in 47 years. Last time it happened, VMI won 2 games in 76 and another in 77. Last year, 13th seeded Furman upset Virginia in the first round. This year, 13th seeded Samford represents the conference and faces Kansas on Thursday. SoCon teams are 5-33 in the first round in the modern era. 3 of those wins were by teams seeded 11th or worse. It was Furman last year, the Mocs of Chattanooga in 97, and ETSU back in 92. So there's some tournament bracket facts that may or may not impact how you fill out your bracket. Again, if you want in on the Rob Brown Show bracket challenge, as my dog Trey does, Trey, your invite's in the email. rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. Just write, tell me how much of a sexy beast I am. You don't have to do that. And you'll get your invite. Back after this to wrap up the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, give me just a minute. We'll be back in 30 seconds. So go dudes and dudettes.
I have Wisconsin beating Duke.
Yeah. That was bad.
Then I have Wisconsin beating Houston.
UVA last night went 14 minutes without
scoring. Yeah, and it was like an
hour
hour-long real-life time. Yeah. They didn't score.
It was unbelievable.
I was like, holy cow, that's bad. When they got cold, I mean, they got cold. And they're saying there might be some coaching changes that happen. I mean, their offense is terrible. It's so slow and stagnant. I mean, Virginia hasn't done good in a long time.
Visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's at AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world. Turning to the best in the business for websites, go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
Starting March 18th for 3 days only, shop limited time doorbusters during Lowe's MVP's bonus days. Buy one Metabo HPT 15-degree roofing nail. Get one box of Metabo HPT 1.25-inch collated roofing nails free, a $49.98 value. Plus, save $39 on a Little Giant A4 6-foot 300-pound step ladder. Shop these deals and more while supplies.
Joey B, they're playing in the NIT though.
$318 through $320. Selection varies.
30 seconds.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early, so everyone can go home on time. There's Granger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts, so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Listen to the Odyssey and search the Fan Upstate.
Wrapping up the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Not last call, because you will have time during tomorrow's show to get in, but last call if you want some time to research, analyze, evaluate, and put your bracket together. If you want in on the 2024 Rob Brown Show Bracket Challenge, now's your chance. Now's your time. Now's your opportunity. Email me, rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. Shoot me an email, ask for the invite. I will drop it right back in your email, as I am doing with Alan right now. Alan, invite back on its way to you right now. rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. You can enter the 2024 Rob Brown Show Bracket Challenge. If you do so and you win the Bracket Challenge, you will win the opportunity to come on this show and host this show with us here on the Fan Upstate. It'll be your opportunity to get in here and show the world your talent. You can make me look like an idiot if you want to. You can agree with everything I've ever said. Whatever you want to do, this is your chance. This is your opportunity. rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. If you want in, now's your time to get in. Winner, take all. Everybody gets a crack at it. We got a good list of folks in here already. April's in there. Chris Lewis from the Triumph is in there. Joey B, Skrilla, Mikey D. Let's see, Diddy, our reigning defending champion. Miss Anna Catherine English, one of my favorite people in the world, is in there. Mark Shelley and his blushing bride Ashley are in there. Our boy Carter Vickers from the Drive's in there. My guy Clay from the Riot in there. My fiance is in there. We got Hudson in there. Joe from Boiling Springs is up in here. Carlos with a K from WFAN and CBS Sports National is in the bracket. Lonzo is in there. Mike Stacks is in there. We got Sexy Roger in there. Big Trey Tracy. Everybody's up in here. rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. If you want the invite, shoot the email right now, and I will send it on over to you. Our boy James wrote in. He said, Rob Brown's better than you, and you know it. We'll find out in about 2 weeks, won't we, James? Thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again, but better. For Brandon, I'm Rob. See you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Yeah!
Unique and unlike any other sports talk show. It's BetMGM Tonight, Monday through Friday from 7 to 11, only on the Fan. BetMGM Tonight is the red zone for casual and hardcore sports fans. Live sports betting updates for all of the night's games as they happen. Get the latest scores, sides, totals, props, parlays, futures, and much more with real-time, relevant sports wagertainment tonight at 7. BetMGM Tonight, exclusively on the Fan and on the Odyssey app.
You know what happens when a smart group of medical professionals get together and commit to a technology designed to relieve your aching joints without surgery? It's called QC Kinetics.
And this guy knows the power of a solid team. Emmett Smith, football legend and Dancing with the Stars champ.
All right, guys and gals, we got to get up out of here. Thank you guys for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back tomorrow. You got any folks you want to invite to the bracket? Feel free. If you have the link, feel free to just forward it to whoever. I don't care. More the better. The more the merrier. I don't know, however that phrase goes. Thanks for hanging out. Y'all have a good day. Goodbye.